Here, the might is there for everyone to see. So we have gone beyond just token statements. Rishabh, what more can you share with us?
Well, what we are given to understand right now that, looking at the social media from Pakistan, there's a huge anti-Indian narrative that is being built. A lot of fake news coming in from the Pakistani and official Pakistani channels, not the trolls, not the, people, unnamed people, but, outlets like Samna TV, ARY TV are quoting security officials, quote unquote, and peddling lies that have no basis. ISPR has been very clear that India has not violated Pakistani airspace, and then the security forces are also saying that Indian planes have been gunned down in Pakistan by Pakistani Air Force. So there is contradiction in the news coming in. Pakistan has been caught sleeping once again. Remember when the Balakot happened, and it was Pakistan Air Force who said that you can sleep, Pakistanis can sleep peacefully because Pakistan Air Force is awake, and within hours we saw the airstrike. Right now, be it Shehbaz Sharif, be it Bilawal Bhutto, the way the reactions are coming in from Pakistan, it categorically shows that how rattled Pakistan is. Apart from that, from the security establishment here, what we are given to understand, and as our senior colleague Sanjay was also pointing out, that between 12:50 and 1 o'clock, post-midnight, precision strikes were undertaken. 9 locations have been hit, and as per ISPR, as of now, 2 have been killed.
All right. Ferocious response and assertion of India's military might. This is our answer to Pakistan's cowardly terror strike in Pahalgam. More breaking inputs coming in. Donald Trump, the US president, he has been briefed of this. This is his first response. He says that I hope this ends quickly. Listen to what Donald Trump said.
Any questions for Steve?
Mr. President, any reaction to the attacks between India and Pakistan?
No, it's a shame. We just heard about it just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval. Just heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen based on a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. They've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly. Any questions for Steve?
Mr. President, any reaction to the attacks between India and Pakistan?
No, it's a shame. We just heard about it just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval. Just heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen based on a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. They've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly. Any questions for Steve?
Mr. President, any reaction to the attacks between India and Pakistan?
No, it's a shame. We just heard about it just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval. Just heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen based on a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. They've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
Donald Trump is not ashamed because, viewers, the United States that hunted Osama bin Laden in Pakistan's backyard has no moral perch, viewers, to preach caution to anyone, much less India. America must stand with India or stand exposed. That's the only 2 options. Either support India in its fight against terror or stand exposed for your hypocrisy. Sindur was just telling me while that reaction was playing out that Donald Trump is still the most powerful man on this planet, and look what we've done to him. He is now forced to respond. He was helpless. He couldn't do anything because we hit terror targets in Pakistan. The NSA picked up the call, briefed his US counterpart. That's how democratic governments work. But we did what we had to, and America of all nations, Sindur, should understand this fire, because in 2011, the Navy SEALs, they hunted down Osama from deep inside Pakistan in Abbottabad, a garrison town very close to the GHQ.
Yes, that was done by the Americans. and it was a successful operation. At the end of the day, they got Osama bin Laden, regardless of everything else. But what is happening right now? The strike took place at 1 o'clock in the morning, but what is happening now? It's been 2 hours. What we have here is just a little while ago, Pakistani army violated the LOC. They have begun shelling Indian positions. India has responded suitably, which means that Pakistan is shelling India. Pakistan artillery is on right now. Indian artillery is hitting back. That is happening right now. So it's a ceasefire violation for whatever it's worth at this point, but India is giving it back at this point. I also wanted to tell you that in a little while, early in the morning today, there will be a media briefing.
That's right. We are all waiting for that formal briefing. One statement has come and that detailed briefing, like you said, Pradeep is also joining us. But, you know, I just want to underline this, viewers, and we have some breaking inputs coming in. But I just want to say this before we go to that breaking input, that for the United States to now murmur about restraint is, you know, is sheer hypocrisy, because when terror strikes, viewers, there are no half measures or no gentle hand. What the US did to hunt down Osama bin Laden, India has shown the world that we have what it takes to do the same. When our people are attacked, we have acted to protect our people, and we will not, viewers, we will not be lectured by those who walk the same path. Priyank, Pradeep, Rishabh, Srinjoy, all with us. Lashkar headquarters in Muridke has been blown to smithereens. We have Pradeep Datta now with the details. Yes, Pradeep. Priyank.
Yes, Sati Pranesh, Lashkar headquarters have been hit, and these are the 9 precise locations which were on the target where the Indian agencies were keeping a close watch, and the military establishment was also aware about the establishment of the Lashkar camps which are there. And as Srinjoy sir has already stated that Indian forces have hit from the northern side to the southern side of the Pakistani occupied Kashmir. It is also very important to see the statement which has come out from the Pakistan's Prime Minister, where he is not talking about any kind of further movement from the Pakistani forces. What he's saying, if you look at the last 2 lines, he's saying that we know how to deal with this kind of situation. So there is certain tension in Pakistan, we can certainly sense, because of which these kind of shelling which has started in the Punch as well as in the Kupwara sector, from where our colleague Sohail was also present just a short while back. So we can take that particular portion. But it is a known fact that the Pakistanis were very much aware about the fact that their sins cannot go just like this. India will certainly teach them a lesson, and which has actually happened. According to the report, the attack actually happened around 1:30. Post 1:30 to 1:35, we could hear the sound of the Indian fighter jets flying from the Srinagar air base, which was a preventive measure which was taken by the forces. While on one side the targets were precisely attacked by the forces, on the other side in the Indian sky there were fighter jets, the Indian Sukhois and all, which were flying in the air, so that the Pakistanis cannot attempt to enter the Indian territory. So very important development happening right now, but since more than half an hour, what we can sense that there is no further sound of any kind of fighter jets which is flowing in the sky, so they are back to the bases, and the kind of explosion which was heard here in Srinagar is yet to be told by the authorities. There is no further.
Let me quickly bring in Wing Commander Bakshi, and then I am coming to Srinjoy Chaudhry. This is the most comprehensive and detailed coverage of what our forces did by striking Pakistan. Wing Commander Bakshi, your response. Sir, I think you're on mute. Wing Commander, I think you're on mute.
Yes, I am. Yes. Thank you very much. There is no doubt about it that every son of India today will be very proud that this is what they are waiting for. Now that it has happened, what I would like to say that we have to now look out for what is the response of Pakistan going to happen. Yes, the ceasefire has violation. Pakistan has been doing it for a long decades back. So let's not get worried about it. But I personally should feel And that will be my advice, that start taking piecemeal, even start taking the land, start advancing. And that is why you put them under pressure. Otherwise, things will be forgotten. Even if we take 200 yards or 300 yards, take it. And that is what we should do now. And all. But and these bases which have been attacked by artillery guns or multi-barrel rocket launchers, if they have been attacked by MBRL or precision weapons, do it again. Just do it again, because don't let them wait and sit. So airstrikes, I can understand. We can wait for further briefing about what to do, but nothing stops us from the artillery exchange. We should continue pulverizing them one after another, and we should add one or two more just to make.
हेल्दी खाने की चॉइस है सही, फिर पीने में ऐसा क्यों नहीं? सोचा है हेल्दी पीने का कभी सोचा नहीं तो सोचो अभी। हेल्दी रहने के लिए हेल्दी खाने के साथ हेल्दी पीना भी है जरूरी। रियल, हर सिप में हेल्थ।
A latest development coming in that they are now once again wanting to convene one UNSC meeting. We know what happened at the last one. Sindur.
All this is pointless because of those 15 countries, including Pakistan in the UN Security Council, 10 non-permanent members, 5 permanent members. The only country that may actually not criticize Pakistan so much, it may be China. All the other countries know what Pakistan is about. So does China. But they know where the terror camps are. They know which country has snakes in its backyard, as Hillary Clinton famously had said so many years ago. And this time, not the snakes, but the snake charmer has hit back. And very clearly, the world knows, all the countries in the UN Security Council know. Now, all these places that have been hit, Bimber is a very well-known place right on the close to the line of control. Kotli is known as to be a terror camp for years. We have known about Kotli for years, that it's a terror camp.
That's right. And this is, not so much about UNSC. I think this is Pakistan wanting to convene its National Security Council, where, the Prime Minister takes orders from the military general. Rishabh just made that correction. But, that's all right. I am more curious, and, Priyank and Wing Commander, what happened to the Chinese radars? What will Pakistan now tell Beijing? They were banking on it. Wing Commander. Wing Commander Bakshi, if you can hear me, sir. Or I think he's monitoring Pakistani channels, so perhaps watching video. But, Sindur, there was a lot of chatter leading up to today that Pakistan is well equipped with Chinese radars. What happened to the Chinese radars?
Well, they were active. All of them are active. But very clearly, however it has been done, in whichever way it has been done successfully. At 1 o'clock, the targets were struck, and after having struck the targets, India is satisfied. There is what we just heard from our sources is that whatever needed to be done, needed to be hit, has been hit, and the evidence is available. So the results are also positive, is what I'm saying, because I've heard from my sources that whatever needed to be hit, whatever the plans were, have been successful, because whatever targets needed to be struck have been struck, and the evidence of success is before us. So at 1 o'clock, this happened.
An interesting photo our colleague Anubhav has put, and we'll blow that picture on the screen. This is from the ISI headquarters, Sindur, if I'm not wrong, and we'll just have that photo on the screen so that you can describe it for our viewers. I can see Shahbaz Sharif I can see Khwaja Asif. I can see General Munir. The three, then I also can see the two other service chiefs, and you will see the photo in 5 seconds. This is the photo that I was talking about. We're just trying to put it out on TV so that viewers understand what I'm talking about. And in this photo, this was supposed to be a meeting of, the Prime Minister with ISI and the military brass of Pakistan. All of them with folded hands are praying. But the prayers have not been answered. Even the Chinese radars viewers could not help Pakistan. This is the picture that I was talking about. This is just, this is what transpired in Pakistan last evening. Sindur, your thoughts on this?
Well, at the end of the day, all the defensive measures that was sought to have been taken by the Pakistanis did not succeed. At the end of the day, what happened? 9 targets were planned for, and India hit all those targets. And what I hear is that whatever was needed to be struck has been struck. And there is adequate evidence. Obviously, there must have been, there is evidence to show how these pictures were taken. We are not sure as yet, possibly satellite pictures or whatever, is that they have been struck. They have been struck successfully, which means that this is, number one, a clear message. A place like Bahwalpur has been hit. A place near Sialkot has been hit. Muridke has been hit. This is very clear. This is not just POK, right? So all these places have been hit. There was often talk, okay, we can hit POK because it's Indian territory. But what about Pakistan? Where do you think Sialkot is? Where do you think Bahwalpur is? Where do you think Muridke is? That has to be kept in mind, because at the end of the day, the terror training camps were not just in POK. They were also in Pakistan, and that calculation was done. And after doing that calculation, right. I mean, yeah, Kotli has hit, Bimbar was hit, Gulpur was hit, Chakamru was hit.
No, you are right. This is not some reckless attack. I said that at the start, but having said so, we've hit wherever we wanted to. It's not as if, we managed to hit at only 9 places. We had selected carefully these 9 terror targets and we've hit them. I'm also requesting my team to open flight radar if we can. Because, from the pictures that I'm seeing, there is very little activity over the Pakistani airspace, and understandably so. No one wants to risk the wrath of our forces. Pradeep Datta is also joining us. Pradeep, good morning. Operation Sindoor in action.
Yes, very, very good morning. Bharat Mata ki Jai. What a fantastic operation that has been conducted by Indian Armed Forces. And they had been able to target Muridke, Lashkar-e-Toiba headquarters. They had been able to target Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters in Bahawalpur. They had been able to target terror infrastructure in Sialkot. They had been able to target terror infrastructure in Muzaffarabad and Kotli. Because yesterday only here on Times Now, we ran a story about several of those launchpad terror infrastructure in all these areas. And finally, those 9 areas have been targeted. This Pahalgam massacre has been avenged within 15 days. Pranesh, the first time when the Uri strike took place, it was within 10 days they were able to avenge that Uri attack. And second time in Pulwama, when their Pulwama bombing, 40 of the CRPF personnel were martyred. That was avenged within 12 days. And now Pahalgam massacre has been avenged within 15 days. And you can see they have codenamed it Operation Sindoor, because they killed 26 people, 26 men. And many of those women, they lost their husbands, and that's why they codenamed it Sindoor. So if you are going to erase or wipe out the Sindoor of our women, we are going to wipe out your terror infrastructure. That was a message that has been sent by Indian Armed Forces. Because yesterday when there was a meeting at Prime Minister's residence, because he had been meeting during the last 3-4 days, he had been meeting Army Chief, he met Naval Chief, then he met the Defense Secretary, even Air Force Chief, and last meeting was with the National Security National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval. That was the time I thought that maybe something is really going to happen, because individually he had been meeting, and during that meeting he was conveyed about that what really is going to happen, what is on the table, what they are going to target, and what will be the response in case Pakistan thinks of any kind of a retaliation. But right now Pakistan seems completely rattled. What we have been told by the sources is that Shahbaz Sharif, Prime Minister of Pakistan, is going to call the National Security Council meeting 10 a.m. morning. He's going to have a meeting where they are going to meet. Though there had been announcement throughout Pakistan, in Lahore and other areas where the announcement is made through mosque, they are asking people to come out. But the best thing is that they have not targeted any of the civilian infrastructure, neither they have targeted any of the army infrastructure. So this was an attack with precision. Once again, the Pakistan armed forces are caught.
Who will attend the National Security Council meeting in Islamabad or wherever it happens, Shinjoy, will Hafiz Saeed, his representatives, because, their targets have been hit?
Well, it's up to them to decide who they want to call and what they want to do.
No, Shinjoy, one minute. Why are you being so charitable to the Pakistanis? Why? I want you to speak. Why are you mincing your words? Why?
It's their problem. It's their National Security Council meeting. So if they want to call the terrorist leaders, they are absolutely welcome to do it. But at the end of the day, the terrorist targets have been hit very clearly. And this precision weapons, precision ammunition has been used, Pranesh, which means that, for instance, if you're going to hit a target, you will make it clear that the place next to it will not be hit. That particular target will be hit, and will be hit resoundingly, which means that there is a value in precision targets. India is making it very clear that we will only hit the terror camps. We will not hit military targets.
We now have information that there will be a Ministry of Defense or perhaps a news conference by the Ministry of External Affairs. That will happen at 10 a.m. A quick update from Rishabh, and then I'm coming to you, Priyank.
Well, Pranesh, definitely what the news is coming in that India will officially, India has released a statement already. India will be holding a press conference at around 10 a.m. This morning, where further details of Operation Sindoor will be explained. Remember, similar press conference happened after Balakot as well, and that press conference gave out a lot of details about the target, the reason for choice of target, and what are the outcomes of the attack. So we'll have to wait till 10 a.m. to understand officially what exactly India has targeted. We know that there have been 9 targets as per the release from the Ministry of Defense. But what were those targets? Shinjoy sir has brought many details to us. Indian Army will confirm it at around 10 a.m. Remember, just
bring in Priyank, there are many unconfirmed reports, and I don't want to jump the gun, which is why I'm coming to you. There are reports that say that our air defense systems have hit a Pakistani jet. I'm leaving it to you to tell us more about it.
Yes, Pranesh, let me show it on the visuals only that this is a particular visual which is being shown by the Pakistanis that this is an attack on the Indian fighter jet. If you look at the timeline, it's clearly showing that the MiG-29 aircraft which crashed in Barmaid sector, which was an Indian Air Force flight, aircraft, which happened on 2nd of September 2024. So the Pakistani fakeries have been exposed time and again. This is what we can sense, and this is a visual evidence. And if you say, then I can forward it to you also and to our colleagues so that we can show it on a larger screen. But the biggest information which I'm getting right now, that this particular attack was not only by the Indian Air Force, it was in the coordination with the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force, where we have managed to hit out on 9 of the targets, which was not only in the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, but also in the territory which is in Pakistan. So that is the clear-cut message, and once again we know it for the fact that the Pakistani ISPR and the Pakistani Army, rather than trying to protect their...
Thanks for that quick update. Just stay with us. Here's a detailed statement by the Embassy of India, Washington, D.C. Shinjoy, I'm reading this and then you take over. It says, point number 1, terrorists killed 26 civilians in Jammu and Kashmir on April 22nd in a brutal and heinous attack. India has credible leads, technical inputs, testimony of survivors and other evidence pointing towards the clear involvement of Pakistan-based terrorists in this attack. It was expected that Pakistan would take action against terrorists and the infrastructure that supports them. Instead, during the fortnight that has gone by, Pakistan has indulged in denial and made allegations of false flag operations against India. India's actions have been focused and precise. They were measured, responsible, and designed to be non-escalatory in nature. No Pakistani civilian, economic or military targets have been hit. Only known terror camps were targeted. Shortly after the strikes, NSA Doval spoke with US NSA and Secretary of State Marco Rubio and briefed him on the actions taken. Sinjoy.
Yes, that is entirely expected and entirely accurate. What we have been and how they were hit. They were hit by, as Priyank also said, a combination of army and targets. And what we hear, now you hit targets, then what happens? Were they successful? Were they not successful? Yes, what we hear is everything we needed to hit was hit. Everything very, very effectively after Pak artillery opened up. So an artillery duel is being fought right now on the LOC.
Pradeep, take us through the 5 big updates that you're getting. After that, we will tell you how the political class in India is responding. I can tell you, viewers, that the minister, their comments on social media, as also opposition leaders have been vocal in celebrating the success of Operation Sindoor. But Pradeep, you go first.
Yes, Manish, you discussed about the political class because there had been a political class here that had been asking for the sabut last time also when the first surgical strike was carried out or the second surgical strike was carried out. And then there had been people sitting across the border who were also trying to create an impression that nothing of that sort has happened. I think after seeing those visuals of the explosion, neither the political class here will be, that sabut gang will be ever able to ask those questions of sabut or any evidence in this regard, nor the Pakistan will deny what really happened this time. And that's one of the reasons that we have seen that the whole of the army top brass as well as the Pakistan Prime Minister is in a huddle and they're going to have a National Security Council meet today morning at about 10. But yes, the Indian Defence Ministry is going to brief about the whole operation, what really happened, as rightly said by Srinjoy also, because it was a combination of armed forces as well as Indian Air Force, and it was basically the army as well as Indian Air Force that were responsible for this operation. Pakistan is maintaining that Indian Air Force did not cross the line of control. They fired from their own airspace and they targeted some of the headquarters with precision. And India has already mentioned in the press release also that it was a known terror hideout. When they say known terror hideout, everybody knows Muridke is a Lashkar headquarter. And from here, Hafiz Saeed has been operating for the last several decades. It is from the Muridke only that they used to plan operation against the Indian bravehearts, against
Pradeep,
civilians.
You know, the Pakistanis can say what they want. I'm sure that the hotlines with Beijing must be active, but you know, we'll come to all of that later. Group Captain Devnath is also joining a broadcast. Sir, all right, we'll go to Group Captain Devnath in just a bit. Our team's trying to connect to commentators on this, veterans, you know, who will have their say on what's going on. But Srinjoy, now news is coming in that senior Indian officials have spoken to their counterparts in a number of countries to brief them on the steps taken by India. Among these are US, as we discussed, UK, Saudi Arabia, UAE and Russia. Now, in the days leading up to Operation Sindoor, we saw that there was a concerted effort, a diplomatic effort by the Ministry of External Affairs here to reach out to countries.
Yes. See, this has happened at 2 levels. One is ambassadors of other countries have been called in and told, certain things. Also, Indian diplomats have met government officials in the country where they were. And really 3 or 4 points have been made. Number one, that the Pahalgam attack was not a one-off. It was part of a series of attacks on India and Indian civilians in the past. Number two, this attack in Pahalgam was part of a plan of which the Pakistani jihadi establishment and part of the military establishment, the ISI, etc., were all involved. Three, that India knew who the perpetrators were, and India was very keen that that action would be taken against them. So all countries, all friendly countries were properly briefed. All countries knew that India was aware that this was a Pakistani-inspired plan and that the terrorists were naturally supported by the Pakistani establishment, and most importantly, that India would do things at the right place and the right time. And that has exactly happened. These briefings took place over a week ago, but since then, there have been preparations. Naturally, if you're going to hit 9 targets, first you have to plan them, then you have to make sure that they are properly hit. And at this point, Muridke, Bahwalpur, 2 places in Muzaffarabad, Chakamru, Gulpur, Kotli, Bimbar, a place near Sialkot.
That's right.
All been
9 carefully selected targets, and what you're seeing on your screen, viewers, is Saboot of Operation Sindoor. It is important to highlight that this is what the Pakistanis themselves have shot. The people there have shot this while our missiles flew and struck terror targets. Priyank, you were telling us about the statement of the Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor. There are others also that we will go to, but what has he said?
He has praised the forces, Pranesh, that the manner in which India has taken the revenge. But there is one more update which is coming out from the valley, that the Srinagar Air Base airport, which is a defense airport, will be closed for any kind of civil aircraft movement. This is the latest information which we are getting, that looking at the present circumstances, the Srinagar Air Base will not be there. One more important thing which we can highlight it for viewers is the statement from the news alert from the DG ISPR, Pranesh, where it is saying that all the strikes were made by India from its own airspace. It is also clearly mentioning that Indian Air Force did not cross the airspace, the Indian airspace. It is very important to be highlighted, although we know that there will be official statement which is expected to come from the Indian government around 10 a.m. This is what
Priyank, I'm sorry to interrupt you. News just coming in, and reports suggest that, these are reports that there have been 80 casualties in Bahawalpur. Viewers, these are reports. There is massive chaos, obviously as expected, in hospitals in Bahawalpur in Pakistan. And Masood Azhar's headquarters and madrasa in Bahawalpur have been completely, blown to shreds. The Pakistani media reports is indicating all of this. Shinjo, I'll come to you in just a bit, but Rohit, our colleague, is now joining us. Rohit, take us through the reactions that are pouring in on Operation Sindoor.
Yes, political reactions pouring in from both the government and the opposition. I want to take you through some of the leaders of the opposition who have now commented on this. This is Lalu Prasad Yadav, who says, Jai Hind ki Sena. And Aditya Thackeray of the Shiv Sena UBT says terrorism in all its forms has to be eliminated. Tonight's precision strikes in POK are against terrorism, and kudos to the Indian Defence Forces for keeping it precise to sites where terrorism was being harboured. Hit them hard enough that terrorism doesn't stand a chance ever again. Then this is Srinivas Bibi of the Congress Party, who says Indian Army Zindabad, Jai Hind. And then of course you have Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia as well, who says Dharma Rakshati Rakshite Jai Hind. So reactions coming in from across the political spectrum to show that how India is standing together and is backing our forces after Operation Sindoor.
Okay, Srinjoy, that's the reaction in India, but I can tell you that there is complete meltdown in Pakistani media. Obviously, they have to save face. So, spare a thought for those people. They are now resorting to, like Priyank said, pulling out old stuff from the internet, passing it off as, proof of their valor, etc., etc. But just to quickly put this in perspective, at around 1 this morning, early morning, midnight, our forces struck 9 targets deep inside Pakistan. The emphasis, viewers, is on the word deep, because, this was not some strike near the line of control. Srinjoy.
Well, it was a mix. Yes, Pakistan was hit and POK. Let's look at the targets one after the other. Muzaffarabad, that is in POK. 2 targets were hit there. Kotli and Bimbar, both POK targets hit there. But Muridke, where is Muridke? Muridke is in Pakistan, and it was the headquarters of the LET. Bahwalpur, where is Bahwalpur? Bahwalpur is in Pakistan. Why Bahwalpur? Because it's the headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Maulana Masood Azhar is from there. Then one place near Sialkot, Chakamru, was hit. So very clearly, it was a list of terror targets where the worst of the worst were, where the worst people in the world were. The terrorists who planned attacks, not just like Pahalgam, but the ones before. And this time, the idea was to hit the main areas.
Right.
Like if you're going to hit the LET, you don't hit one little camp somewhere. You hit that main target in Muridke. If you're going to hit the Jaish-e-Mohammed, you don't hit some little place somewhere else. You hit right in Bahwalpur, where Maulana Masood Azhar is. So, as Times Now first gave to you, all 9 camps were hit at 1 o'clock in the morning, and this was a clear decision to hit at 1 o'clock in the morning. And what we are hearing from our sources is, quote, everything we needed to hit, we have hit, and there is evidence of the positive results. So, at this point, we can say that 9 targets have been hit, and the results are very positive.
I love the response of the ADG-PI that said justice served Operation Sindoor. This is, like we've been discussing, viewers, the resolve of 1.4 billion people. Pathitrit is also joining us. Pathitrit, good morning. Operation Sindoor, teaching Pakistan a lesson it will never forget.
Well, first and foremost, good morning, and my best wishes and naman to the armed forces of India and the political leadership of the country. One thing is for sure, that this time Pakistan cannot hoodwink the way they tried during the Balakot air strike. This time the attacks are there for everyone to see. These are precision strikes. The only thing which is we have to wait for confirmation is whether these were BVR, beyond visual range missiles, being shot by the Indian Air Force, or whether they were BrahMos. That is for the government and the armed forces to that we are not targeting any military installation. These are clear-cut designated terror installations, irrespective of whether the top leadership of Jaish-e-Mohammed were in that Bahwalpur area or not, in that entire designated target. The fact that the headquarters have been targeted this time is symbolic of the fact that we know where those headquarters are, and that it is next time it might not be the headquarters, it would invariably be at the military establishment whose sponsored actors these elements are. So it is probably the stage 1, and I'm sure the government has informed the heads of state of other important countries. But we have to see what the Pakistani response is, because Pakistan would be the army, for all the bravado, false bravado they showed, they would be under tremendous pressure to have a response. If the response is a hollow one, then we don't need to worry. But if there is a response, then there will be a counter retaliation. And that time, perhaps, unlike this time, as India made it very clear that we are not targeting military installations or any civilian installations, next time it can be something very different. But I think India has shown tremendous restraint, that they have only targeted designated terror targets and have not touched anything to do with the government installations or primarily.
You're right. That is what Srinjoy has been saying, Pathitrit. You are talking about Pakistan's, response and under pressure what Islamabad will resort to. We were just discussing before you joined that what happened to the Chinese radars. Do you have any clue?
No, no. So let me tell you one thing. If you remember, there were these things have always been factored in. If you talk about, I'm not sure what has been used this time, but if it is a BrahMos, its capability, its ability to strike at a tremendous pace, even if you have a radar, its ability to detect and then you designate as a response and counter strike it or preempt it, it's impossible for Pakistan. For all practical purposes, even the Western developed countries dread BrahMos. So if it is a BrahMos and if it is a BVR missile of some other kind, then it shows the capacity of jamming, the kind of electronic warfare that India is capable of to jam all kinds of radars, whether they come from Beijing or from Xi Jinping's personal home or not. They know the capability of, barraging the whole area with electronic warfare and then moving towards the target. So either way, it is clear Pakistan has been taken off guard. Secondly, if it is about the load shedding, we don't know. You know, the condition of Pakistan is such that 1 o'clock at night they may have to switch it off because electricity is not available. So anything is possible for Pakistan.
Well, well said, Patrick. Just stay with us. Yavar, our colleague, also joining us. Yes, Yavar.
Well, exactly. If we talk about the post of the strike, there has been the massive escalation that are being witnessed along the line of control and international border. Many of the forwarding posts are being targeted with heavy artillery by the Pakistani troops. Efficient retaliation are being given. We have been given the understanding that in the Rajouri, in the Poonch, in the Nowshera, in the Meander, or else in the Odi and the North Kashmir's Kupwara, the forward posts are being targeted by the Pakistani troops. Now remember that over the past 15 days they were using the small arms. This time the heavy artillery are being used and efficient retaliation are being given from the Indian Army side. Remember that Srinagar airport has been closed for the civilian operation as a precautionary measure. Lot of the things have been put in place, but yes, this is the latest that there has been the continuous ceasefire violation, that the borders are being flare up and it's witnessing continuous escalation from the either side, from other side as well. But remember that efficient retaliation has been given. That's what the Indian Army has also said, that befitting reply has been given to every escalation and every flare-up that aim to target the forward post of the
many
Indian
people are
Army
curious
at various
what happens
locations, multiple locations.
When a statement like the one released by the Army is published. What happens after that?
Well, clearly, the important point is to tell the people of India and tell the people of the world that, look, we don't want to keep quiet when our citizens, 28 of our citizens, are killed in the way they were. So we have to reply, and this is our reply. And this time we have not stopped at certain things. We have decided that if you have to knock out the octopus, then you have to aim at the head. It has many arms, but hit the head, which is why, let's say, Muridke has been hit. Let's say Bahwalpur has been hit. Let's say those 2 camps in Muzaffarabad have been hit, because this is where the headquarters were of the LET and the Jaish-e-Mohammed. And the world knows these are all designated terrorist organizations. So when you are striking a designated terrorist organization, this is something the world is aware of. Designated terrorist organization. In some senses, the Pakistanis should have been doing this all these years.
Right.
Why didn't they take action against the terrorists in their soil?
And you're right, because if you see the statement released by our embassy in Washington, it says that over the last 14 days, over the fortnight, India expected Pakistan to act against terror infrastructure, but Pakistan did very little. And India did nothing. You're absolutely right. In fact, it resorted to, labeling this as false flag operation. Reads that statement by the Indian embassy in Washington. It's important, viewers, to underline the 3 important updates we are tracking this hour. As we speak, hotlines have been activated. top officials are speaking to their counterparts in US, UK, Russia, Saudi Arabia and UAE. Pradeep.
Yes, Pranesh, this is a very important point because 14 days was enough time for the Pakistan to act against terror, because on one hand Pakistan keeps on claiming that they are victim of terror, but instead of acting against terror-related elements, what Pakistan was doing, they were red flagging that India was acting as an aggressor. Deliberately, India was trying to make it an issue, while as nothing of that sort of really happened, and they were nowhere involved. And we had seen that how they had been running toward different countries and begging for peace, because they knew they had committed a crime. There is going to be definitely strong consequences, and they will have to face this time. Because strong assertion that Prime Minister has made, mitti mein mila dunga, those words have finally been translated into action. And within 14 days, we have seen that how Indian Air Force as well as Army had been able to decimate their headquarters in Muridke, as rightly said by Sindur. And if we talk about Bahwalpur, this is spread in 6.5 acres of land. This is considered to be one of the biggest headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed, where Masood Azhar used to hide in one of the boroughs. And finally, they will not be having any space to hide. Prime Minister said, ki mitti mein mila dunga, and that has been proved right by our forces, that how they have carried out this attack with precision. And now what actually the Indian ambassadors and others are trying to do,
right,
they're getting in touch with
viewers, this is India's war on terror. Let's not mince our words. Military, economic and moral fight, and India is fighting without apology. The Prime Minister had left the decision to our armed forces, and here we are. The armed forces did the evaluation that they had to do, and this is the result. Operation Sindoor is successful. The world is talking about it, viewers. You heard the first comment by Donald Trump. He says, let's do this quickly. I hope that this, concludes quickly. So, he may be the most powerful man in the world, but when a democratic country acts like this, decisive action to protect its honor, pride, sovereignty, and fights for justice, everybody follows. And like they say, that if you show the moral courage and compass, the world is with you, and that is what is happening. Pathikrit, I'll come to you. Major General Rajan Kochar is also joining us, sir. Good morning. What do you make of this Operation Sindoor?
Good morning, and first of all, congratulations to the whole nation that we have responded in the way we had to respond. And what is important here is, I would like to highlight here, is that it is an operation against terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan. We have not hit any military target. So this has to be very, very clear to the world, to the viewers, that we are not going in for an escalation. We have given it back to Pakistan the way our Prime Minister wanted it to be done. Second is, it's very, very precise operation. Selection of targets have been very meticulously done. And one important observation here is that it is not restricted to POK only, because targets like in Bahwalpur and all have been addressed in Punjab. So the message going from India is that whatever terror infrastructure is available across the line of control, across the international boundary, it is going to be addressed. Now, the next important aspect is why I say that we didn't want to get into the escalatory mode, is the selection of the weapon system. The selection of the weapon system is precision-guided munitions. That implies that there would be no collateral damage to the targets. It will be a precise strike, coordinates known to us, and we have delivered at the target. We have not strayed into, because many a times you will find that a missile is launched or a rocket is launched and it goes some 500 meters away. Here is a precision target where the circular error of probability, CEP as it is called, it's only 3 meters.
Right.
So that is the way. Now, coming to the type of weapon, I am given to understand that it is a joint operation carried out by the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. So that would again give us an implication that a BrahMos kind of cruise missile has been used, because the Pakistan air defense system has not been able to stop or detect these missiles. And why I actually say this, because BrahMos normally has a low trajectory, so the detection is difficult. Then the speed is of a supersonic missile, it's around 3 Mach. So to detect for a normal air defense system, and Pakistan air defense system, I have analyzed it, it is not that strong to be able to intersect a cruise missile flying at supersonic speeds.
Right.
So what I actually guess is that Sukhoi aircrafts have been retrofitted for carrying out BrahMos missiles. So it is most possibly the strikes have been done.
Major General Kochhar, we were discussing as much. In fact, before you joined us live, Patitrit was telling us that it was a calculated guess. Obviously, he said that it could well be the BrahMos, but there are reports doing the rounds that Rafales were also used, the Scalp cruise missiles and the Hammer standoff weapons. Patitrit, what is your sense?
It can be either of the three BVR, missiles, whether it can be a Scalp or a Hammer or BrahMos. But I would still believe that it is a BrahMos primarily because of the supersonic characteristics of BrahMos, primarily at 3 Mach. And at that speed, as I stated earlier, none of the air defense systems or the radars associated with that anywhere in the world can actually do anything to it. Forget about BrahMos, even the Tomahawk, which was a subsonic cruise missile which used to be launched during the Iraq war or later on, even that used to be dreaded by most. So compared to that, BrahMos is several generations ahead of it. So I think in all likelihood, if you look at the trajectory of the places where the air exercise was going on, it's probably around off the Gujarat coast, which is pretty far away from the Bahwalpur region where the strikes happen. So I think this is mostly the BrahMos, and if it is a joint operation between Indian Army and Indian Air Force, invariably it is a surface-to-surface versions of the BrahMos.
News just coming in and sources telling us, I'm picking this from a news agency, that precision strike weapon systems of our three forces. It's interesting that we were here discussing that this is an operation conducted by the Army and the Air Force. But this suggests that even the Navy was used. It says the coordinates for the attacks on terrorist camps inside Pakistan and Pak-occupied Kashmir were provided by the intelligence agencies. The attacks were carried out from Indian soil only. And it's important to highlight that precision strike weapon systems of the three forces, the Indian Army, Navy and the Air Force, were used in the attacks. Major General Kochhar.
Yes, you see, you cannot rule out any kind of possibility at this stage because we are in the realm of speculation. So possibly once a press statement comes, the government will make it clear. But it is, I think it is unlikely that a naval platform has been used in this attack. You can get information, yes. Navy also has got its surveillance and it has got a P-18 maritime aircraft also, which gives you a look inside the enemy territories, and it can actually provide you the information, coordinates as you rightly mentioned. But in my assessment, I don't think Navy would be involved at this stage because, see, there are 9 specific targets selected. Location is up to 200 kilometers from the border. The ranges of our missiles are in excess of 200, so that implies that we have not gone into Pakistan. We have fired from within us, and in 2019 we didn't have this capability.
Right.
This capability, because of Balakot we had to go inside. But here in this case, we have developed this capability in the last about 6 years. And I also would like to make a mention, please don't rule out the use of drones, because I see some slow moving objects also on the visuals. Now drones are fitted with loitering ammunition, so they have a capability to remain operational or functional in the air for a number of hours.
Right.
Sustenance capability is longer, and when they actually sense a target, only then they are launched. So this loitering ammunition also, when you see that blast effect, I can see that blast and a fire effect, a fireball effect on the target. So let us not rule out the possibility of a swarm drone attack. And today, let me tell you, in the last 2 years, this capability has been achieved by the Indian Army as well as the Air Force. So we have within our own selves the capability to launch a dual strike, which is a combination of drones and missiles. So this we
right. Major General Kochhar, just stay with us, sir. You know, it's important to tell our viewers that all three forces, the Army, the Air Force and the Navy, were part of this Operation Sindoor. Pradeep Datta is also with us, so is Suhail. Suhail has some more information to share. Yes, Suhail, quickly.
Well, we are on, in fact, in Uri, close to line of control. You can see intense shelling is taking place, in fact, and people have started coming up their homes, taking, in fact, moving to safe shelters. This intense shelling started after this Operation Sindoor, wherein 9 targets were hit across POK, particularly in Muzaffarabad. And since then, this intense shelling is taking place on line of control. Our forces are also responding to this shelling, and we are also getting reports from Kupwara, wherein the civilian areas have been targeted, but on ground zero the electricity has been cut to this particular area, which is very close to line of control. And here I can completely hear from last 1 hour now, intense shelling is taking place. Fighter jet activity is also happening over the skies, basically signaling and giving us understanding that our forces, be it the Indian Air Force or Indian Army, is actively responding to the situation that has now in fact started developing after Operation Sindoor. So it was first the Indian Air Force and our Indian Army that targeted 9 locations across POK or terror camps, and after that, in response to that, continuous ceasefire violations are being done by the Pakistani forces. There is blasting taking place, but our security forces, the Indian Army deployed on line of control, is effectively responding to those ceasefire violations. Blasts, sounds are continuously
right. We'll keep coming back to you, Suhail, for more updates. But Pradeep, it was also a seaborne exercise the Navy used in this Operation Sindoor.
Yes, you are absolutely right. In fact, from very first day, they had been saying anytime, anyhow, anywhere. And we have seen that there had been naval was also involved in exercise. And they also went ahead and tried to choke maneuverability for the Pakistani ships as well as their submarine. So Navy, in fact, from very first day, they made it clear, because reason is obvious, because one of the naval officers was killed in this Pahalgam massacre. So Navy personnel were quite angry, and they had made up their mind that this time they are going to make things really difficult for Pakistan forces to move, or the Pakistan Navy to move in the marine waters. Already we have seen that this was a combination of Navy, it was a combination of Army, and it was a combination of Air Force. And what is more important is that there was secrecy, and there was a complete surprise element, and finally it has sent the shockwaves so far as Pakistan Army as well as the Pakistan establishment is concerned. Because what is more important is that once again the Pakistan was caught napping, because last time when Balakot strike was carried out, that time they had put...
Pradeep, I'm sorry to interrupt. News just coming in, sources suggesting that the Indian forces had selected the location for strikes with the intent of targeting top Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar leadership for their role in sponsoring terror activities in India. So this is big. Patitri just goes on to tell you that what the intent was. This was not some, ordinary firing across the border. We wanted to go deep inside and send a message to where it matters.
Well, absolutely, Pranish. During the Balakot strike, also the fear of Pakistan was that the target will be Bahwalpur, headquarter of Jaish-e-Mohammed. So I think this time it is not the limbs which are being targeted; it is the heart and the brain which is being targeted. Of course, invariably, what I would rather suggest, this is my humble submission, that this should be our standard counter-terror response mechanism. That every time a terror attack is orchestrated or executed by Pakistan inside India, this is the way India would respond, and not just by merely killing the terrorists inside India who were executing the operation. You have to raise the bar of consequence, and this is exactly what the Americans and the Israelis have done. Right now, the Americans are undertaking major similar operations on the Ansar Allah Houthi terrorists in Yemen. The same, capabilities were utilized by Israel as well. But I must say one thing, Pranesh, we should be very careful about two things. Number one, the shelling that is happening right now in the border is out of frustration of Pakistan that they have not been able to thwart or preempt it. Secondly, the possibility of another terror strike by Pakistan cannot be ruled out. So we have to be remember some of those elements who did the Pahalgam are still there. We haven't, we haven't been able to catch them. There can be other sleeper cells involved. That is one issue that we should be very careful. The other thing, I still believe it is the stage one of the entire conflict. The conflict is far from over, and that is where the role of Navy, the role of Air Force, everyone comes in, because it's not going to end today itself. There will be a retaliation, and there will be a counter response. My last statement, see, today if you look at the new generation frigates and destroyers of Indian Navy, all are armed with BrahMos, and most of them are armed with the new generation BrahMos, which have a range of 450 kilometers plus. So the possibility of, and yesterday a PA-type Poseidon of Indian Navy was plowing in the Arabian Sea. If it had already mapped these terror hideouts, we should not be surprised. So there is a role all of three are playing, and they're all waiting for the next step, because I think Indian policymakers have already factored in what they will do in case there is a retaliation, which is more than what is happening right now in terms of shelling.
And you're right, and just goes on to tell you that the statement that we've seen from our embassy in Washington, it says that Pakistan had 14 days to act to get its house in order, and Pakistan's fault if it couldn't do anything. It did zilch, zero, nothing, no action. In fact, it said that Pahalgam was one false flag operation, and you saw the kind of innuendo, bravado, inane comments from Pakistani politicians. And now, if you see the chatter on social media, they are now, saying things they're playing to a gallery. They have to, because people there must be saying that, look, you could not even detect Indian missiles. Major General Kocher.
Yeah, you see, this disinformation campaign has already started. I'm just going through some of the reports here, where from the Pakistani media they are claiming that 2 Indian aircrafts have been shot down. So this kind of a disinformation will start.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just big news coming in, sir. Major General Rajan Kocher, and I want you to come in on this, and Pathikrit, that we are being told that Prime Minister was monitoring Operation Sindoor as it unfolded. Every minute, every detail was being watched. The Prime Minister was there with his core team monitoring every bit of Operation Sindoor. This happened, like we've been reporting, at 1 a.m. Our missiles hit terror targets across Pakistan and deep across Pakistan, because if anyone has any doubts, you just need to know the location of Muridke on the map of Pakistan. It is close to Lahore, and that is, far from the line of control. So we hit deep. We've gone beyond Balakot. This is one precision strike. And while this was going on, while 9 terror targets were being struck, the Prime Minister with his core team was monitoring every bit of Operation Sindoor. General Kocher.
It's very, very meticulously planned, and I think the Prime Minister has been actively involved. If you remember, the Prime Minister had called individually the three service chiefs. Normally it is not done. Normally, they all come together and with the Raksha Mantri and the NSA and the CDS. But a change we saw this time was that Prime Minister wanted to be convinced from all the three chiefs that whatever decision he is going to take or whatever action we are going to envisage, what should be the escalation ladder? Because see, if it is going to escalate into a larger thing, possibly that is not in our interest. We don't want to go with a war to Pakistan, and Pakistan is also not interested to go to war, because Pakistan right now, Pakistan military, in spite of all the bravado, they don't have the capacity and the capability to fight a war beyond 10 days with India. I've already done an analysis on a TV channel in which I had actually brought out all about their ammunition and all other logistic strengths of Pakistan. So even Pakistan is not interested. That is why Pakistan has been going to the Security Council time and again, wanting a closed door meeting and wanting pressure on India.
Right.
So now what we are looking at right now is that what is going to be the retaliation from Pakistan and what should be the Indian response, because these are the two things which will dictate in case the conflict has to be escalated. What I actually presume is from the statement being made by President Trump as well as Jaishankar has spoken to Rubio also in the morning, we would not like to escalate beyond that. I think that is the message which has been given to the United States.
Yeah, we would obviously not like to escalate, but that is not to say that India will not ensure justice for its people, justice for our braves and justice for the country. And Pathikrit, while I'm talking to you, I'm going through the Twitter feed. And the kind of messages, it just tells you that this bold approach under Prime Minister Modi, this marks a paradigm shift in what we've come to, as what is called as strategic calculus. Look, for far too long, and you said that yourself, that we've endured Pakistan's cross-border terror with measured response for the fear of escalation, global optics, etc., etc. No more. The Prime Minister made it clear that we will hunt them down to the ends of the earth. And here we are. And now news just coming in that the Prime Minister was inside the war room with his core team monitoring every bit of Operation Sindoor.
Pramesh, this has become a standard feature, because when the post-Uri surgical strike happened, or when the Balakot airstrike happened, Prime Minister's office was monitoring right from the point that the green signal was given. So I am not surprised that the Prime Minister even this time was awake and was monitoring it with his entire cabinet committee on security. The other important issue here is to watch out for what Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan and Baloch does tomorrow, because organizations like these have always kept their conflict with Pakistan below a certain threshold, because Pakistan has the missiles and the artillery. So if they have been literally, exposed by what has happened today, and if the escalation happens literally, then invariably tomorrow you would see the Tehrik-e-Taliban, even Afghan Taliban, opening a front against Pakistan. And that is Pakistan's biggest fear right now. Secondly, the escalatory matrix is exactly what the Prime Minister wanted to understand, and that's why you had a series of meetings. And I'm sure all these war games have already been done by the armed forces in the past to know what they will exactly do. And that's why you see the deployment of Indian Navy in full might in the Arabian Sea right now. And third, we have to watch out. I would reiterate this. Pakistan's terror organizations would also be under pressure to retaliate. So let's not presume that terrorism is going to end today. They would try to do something, and we have to be very, very careful in that format. But we have to make it very clear to Pakistan that Balakot strike happened 6 years back doesn't mean that the next missile strike will happen another 6 years later. It may happen 6 days, in another 6 days, if you don't mend your ways. So the Pakistanis were caught off guard in the Uri surgical strike. They were caught off guard in Balakot because they thought that the Balakot...
You're absolutely right. And the Pakistanis were caught napping once again in the dead of the night at 1 a.m. Pradeep, when the world was sleeping. our forces struck deep inside Pakistan and hit 9 terror targets, and all were successful. Top sources telling us that the Prime Minister was watching all of this in the war room with his core team.
We have seen that there had been a paradigm shift in the military strategy, because earlier everybody used to say, if you are going to cross line of control, there can be a full war, conventional war, and then it will be very difficult for you to stop things. But Prime Minister made it clear that time also that if you will keep on violating line of control, this is not going to be sacrosanct for us, and we are going to cross it, and we are going to hit you hard where from your terrorists are operating. And same thing happened during the Balakot strike, and this third surgical strike had been with precision. This time they have hit in the heart of Pakistan. They have hit Bahwalpur, they have hit Muridke in Lahore. That means they clearly indicated to the fact that during the last few days there had been several terror attacks in which we had seen how Lashkar and Jaish, they were trying to shift the theatre of terror from Kashmir Valley towards the Jammu region. They had been targeting over Behar, they had been targeting over non-locals, they had been targeting Kashmiri Hindus. So they were trying to destabilize the situation.
Right.
And enough was enough when they finally targeted unarmed tourists. And that was the time when Prime Minister said, the blood of Indians is not cheap. And if we are going to target our people, we are not going to leave it there, and we are going to make you pay for each and every sin that you have committed.
We've made Pakistan pay. Abhijit Iyer Mitra also joining the broadcast. Abhijit, good morning. You know, we told Pakistanis that we will brighten the night sky. Here we are, Operation Sindoor.
Yeah, so it's impossible to say how much damage. The one thing we know is that Bahwalpur compound, the mosque compound that had expanded significantly, has been hit. We have visuals from the ground on that. I'm afraid we don't have very good news coming from Kashmir. It turns out it's one of our own aircraft that we've shot down, that has been shot down. The pilot has been taken away in a stretcher, and there are no visuals allowed out of there. So, yeah.
You know, Abhijit, we have Pathitrit with us. Sindur is there, Major General Rajan Kochar, and we were discussing about the kind of weapon used. They believe that it could be the BrahMos because of its supersonic speed. Abhijit.
Oh, sorry. Look, I think it may be the BrahMos. It's at least from the sound we heard. The visual we've seen where these guys are driving and a missile suddenly comes and hits. It is most likely it is the BrahMos, given the kind of whistling you're hearing. But again, it's impossible to say. We've got a lot of supersonic missiles in our arsenal which we could have used. Is it a BrahMos? Possibly, yes. Again, we can't confirm till we've seen visuals of the wreckage and seen the debris of the missiles. I'm sure by the morning there will be much better quality visuals of the debris, and then we'll be able to confirm.
Okay, but Sindur is back. Sindur, you got a call. You went out. What's the news?
Well, very clearly, the point that I'm hearing is that there were certain targets, and there is evidence with the authorities that those targets were accurately hit, and the results are very positive. That's what we are hearing, which basically means, yes, there were certain targets, and as I had said earlier, we started this morning by mentioning the 9 targets before anybody else. And we also told viewers what the targets were. Now we hear that there is evidence, obviously visual evidence, of the fact that the targets have been hit and the results are successful. That is what we are hearing. It's very important that the targets were hit and the right places targeted were hit, and that has been successful at this point, and that's particularly important.
Okay,
it's
Pradeep Datta, you know, waving to us. I think he has some more information. We'll go to Pradeep in just a bit, but viewers, let me quickly recap this. You know, breaking developments. The Prime Minister was up all night, was constantly monitoring Operation Sindoor throughout the night. Abhijit Iyer Mitra is with us, Major General Rajan Kochar, Pathikrit, Srinjoy Chaudhry, our team of reporters getting you all the details. We have also been told that at 11 this morning, there will be the CCS, the Cabinet Committee on Security will be meeting. There's also a Cabinet meeting that will follow after that. At 10 in the morning is when the MEA and the MOD are expected to hold a briefing. But Abhijit, the Prime Minister, in his first statement after the Pahalgam attack had said that we will hunt the attackers, the perpetrators to the ends of the earth. And here we are. Before I come to you, I quickly want to, play out what the Prime Minister had said then.
Today, from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done. The entire nation is firm in this resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity is with us. I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times.
This was April 24th. Today is 7th May. Abhijit, a lot has changed.
Yes, a lot has changed. First of all, we need to remember we've never carried out this kind of strike before. This kind of multi-weapon, multi-domain strike. The latest report seems to indicate the Navy was also involved. Now, I don't know what the Navy's involvement was. But for 9 places like this to be hit, unprecedented. We've been very precise. If you look at all the visuals coming in from Bahwalpur Hospital, it seems only fighting age men have been injured. There are no visuals of women or children. There are some Pakistani accounts putting this image of a dead child out. It is impossible to confirm if it is from here. Only all the visuals I'm seeing from Bahwalpur are all fighting age men. So we've clearly targeted very well. It's clearly terror targets. Because we've said very clearly we've not targeted the military, we've only targeted terror targets. So that's all we can say for the time being now. I don't know how the Pakistanis are going to react because Shehbaz Sharif has said this is an act of war. Now, does an act of war equate to a declaration of war? I don't know. But it shows you that they're not treating this with the emergency it requires because technically their cabinet should have gone into a meeting today. They are saying they're going to go into a meeting tomorrow morning. So clearly even they are not sure about what they want to do. Let us see. I think we will get a much clearer image in the morning.
No, you're right. No point jumping the gun. We can only assess the extent of damage, etc. once, we have more details. But you were right when you say that going by pictures from Bahawalpur, at least from outside the hospital, there are unconfirmed reports that say that, casualties to the tune of over 50, 60. Now, we don't know what happened. Pradeep is back with us. Yes, Pradeep, what's the latest?
Yes, right now all I can say is that the escalation on line of control is continuing. There has been firing going on from Pakistan side. Till yesterday it was a small arm firing, but now it has graduated to artillery being used by Pakistan, trying to target our posts. That clearly indicate that Pakistan is completely rattled. They don't know what exactly to do, and India is going to give them a befitting reply. Already we have seen a very strong response from Indian side going on, whether it's a Poonch sector, whether it's Naushera sector, whether it's Krishna Ghati, whether it's Bimber Gully. The firing is continuing. You rightly said, sir, there are several reports emanating from across the border. We are saying that more than 80 people have died. Now, what Pakistan is trying to do, trying to blame India. Pakistan is saying that India has targeted civilian areas, whether it's Muridki or whether it's Bahwalpur. But everybody knows what is in Bahwalpur and what is in Muridki. India has made it clear that they are going to hit terror gen. Because for the last several years, we have seen that how Lashkar and Jaish, they were bleeding in. India 1,000 crores, they were trying to.
Okay,
But they're trying now because Hamid Mir is putting out all kinds of rubbish. So we might also want to take it with a very big bucket of salt.
Of course, of course. You know, there was another video being pushed by the Pakistani handles of a jet. That incident had taken place a year and a half ago. So that is the Pakistani PSYOP propaganda, actually. You know, not PSYOPs, but we have a reaction from Donald Trump. The world is reacting to India's Mazboot response. Donald Trump was asked a question. This is what he said.
And the door. Just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval, just heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen based on a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
Okay, Abhijit, I'm just coming to you. Tejshri, our colleague is now joining us. Tejshri, bring us up to speed. We can see you, Tejshri. Go ahead.
Disclose the location from where we are reporting right now. We will not tell you the location from where we are reporting right now, but definitely it is one of the closest location to the LOC, and in the pictures we will try to move forward and show you that what's happening here. Remember that after Operation Sindoor, Pakistan is desperately now trying to violate the ceasefire. Not just that, but also in fact trying to attempt attacks, and this is a failed attempt by Pakistan. You can see that how this entire area was targeted by Pakistan, but definitely the Indian defense system has struck back, and in fact they were able to control the damage there. This is the area from where we are reporting right now. These are the live pictures that we are giving you from the LOC. However, there is no damage, no casualty in this area, but we have been constantly showing you that how after India's strong retaliation after the Pahalgam terror attack, how India carried out the Operation Sindoor. 9 terror camps were busted, they were destroyed, and now in a desperate move, now Pakistan is trying not just to violate multiple times the ceasefire, but also in fact trying to attack such kind of areas, and it's a failed attempt by Pakistan, as you can see in the visuals. Remember that there have been fake news that Pakistan has been spreading, but yes, definitely one thing is very much clear, that this is a failed attempt by Pakistan to in fact attack all these areas, and here that is why we are reporting, showing you the pictures with utmost responsibility so as to what is happening over here at the LOC. We are reporting just nearest point over here from the LOC. Yes, definitely there is a movement of the security forces over here, but we are not telling that from where we are reporting, from where is the location. But yes, again we'll show you the visuals so as to what is happening over there. You see that's the particular area where the Pakistan targeted, but yes, the Indian defense system had in fact completely was able to in fact
retaliate. Stay safe. That's more important. Stay safe. Amita is now joining us. Amita, take us through the 9 locations where we struck.
And this is the news that everyone that has been waiting for has finally come, exactly when it comes to India striking at the heart of terror. And these are the terror dens, viewers, that has been hit by India as far as this Operation Sindoor is concerned. The locations here are very clear when it comes to these multiple strikes that has been carried out, at least 9 locations. And not we are talking about when it comes to terror hideouts. We are talking about terror headquarters of organizations like the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the LET, that have been struck right in the heart. And this is exactly when it comes to Operation Sindoor. According to sources, what we are learning, that the operation has been successful. The Prime Minister, who has been continuously monitoring the situation, and this is considered as the war room, because there are very selective few people who actually have the information about Operation Sindoor and how it was carried out. Because remember, it was the Prime Minister who gave a free hand to the forces, saying that you choose the time, the location, and how the operation would be carried out. So these are the targets that we are talking about. Target number 1 that talks about Muridke. We are looking at target Gulpur, we are looking at target Bhimber, we are looking at Chakamru, Kotli, a camp near Sialkot, we are looking at Bahwalpur, we are looking at Muzaffarabad, and all of them are terror camps, Pranesh. And this is where exactly when it comes to the heart of such organizations, the headquarters.
Abhijit, your thoughts on these 9 carefully selected targets?
So we know every one of them had some kind of a terror complex there, which was very suitably disguised, as a mosque. So if you note, I had tweeted out Detresfa's post from 3 days back on the 5th of this month, which was a mosque complex. If you look at the satellite imagery, it looks like a mosque, except it was expanded. It had a swimming pool. Tell me what mosque has a swimming pool? Of course, they filled in the swimming pool. Kuch to sharam hai un logon mein. But it was very much a terror training complex, and that the first visuals we've got are in fact that exact mosque in Bahawalpur. Right now, all the other targets, we're trying to now get imagery of that targets. As you realize, it's impossible to get proper satellite imagery at night, but I'm sure it's going to be following the exact same pattern. If you look at the visuals coming in from the hospitals, these are people dressed, with long beards, typical sort of Pakistani dress. It's impossible to say who's a civilian and who's a terrorist. It's not like a terrorist looks very different. But they're definitely students from some religious seminary. And that is usually how these terror camps are hidden. So I won't be surprised if all 9 of them were that. We have, of course, claimed we have not hit any military targets. So clearly, there's no military folks involved. Terrorists, almost 100% guarantee they are.
Pathikrit.
So, Pranesh, if Abhijit was talking about some of the tweets by Hamid Mir is trying to project as if it was a cross-border strike by the Indian Air Force fighter planes which have crossed the LOC, which I don't think has happened. Even if the Air Force was involved, it's probably the BVRs which have been used beyond visual range. They don't need to cross the border given the kind of arsenal they have right now with long-range missiles. So I think there will be a lot of misinformation which will be spread by Pakistan right now, because I think they still have the hangover of Balakot, that the fighter planes came in and then they bombed right over there, which in all likelihood did not happen that way this time. Either it was a BrahMos or something else. Even if the Air Force was involved, they don't need to cross the LOC anymore. But I think out of this frustration, there would be some kind of action. Probably some shelling is happening right now along the LOC. We have to see how that frustration takes shape. But I think right now, Shahbaz Sharif would have a very, very peaceful sleep, because I think as for their worst nightmare, they were thinking something would happen in Rawalpindi or Islamabad. The fact that it has happened in Bahwalpur and some other places, I think they are a little relieved right now. So if they are having a cabinet meeting probably 3-4 hours down the line, that is because they need some sleep right now. Secondly, I think they would try to show some bravado. But if that bravado is the way they did it post Balakot, dropping bombs here and there the next day, then we don't need to worry. But I reiterate, the possibility of another terror strike cannot be ruled out if it is today or tomorrow.
Of course, because you have that the sleeper cell, the network of the overground workers waiting for the next order from their masters across the border. Sinjoy.
Yes, that's entirely possible that there could be another terror attack. And apart from that, yes, what we heard just now is right. The Pakistani forces could retaliate. They did the day after Balakot, not with great success at all. But again, certainly, surely, this has been worked out. This has been war-gamed. So if there is a retaliation, then India is prepared for it. The Air Force is prepared, the Army is prepared. As far as what I heard, the Air Force was involved, the Army was involved. We've been hearing this for 2 hours. The Army was definitely involved, and precision-guided munitions were used by the artillery. The Air Force was always also involved, and similar kind of weaponry was used. So what it means for the general viewer is that, Pradesh, a target can be very close to you. The target will be hit, but you will be all right. That's what I'm trying to say. So precise targets to ensure that only terror camps were hit, not military targets and not civilian targets. I asked a source right at about 2 o'clock in the morning about pictures and so on. He said, well, it's all over social media. Have a look. And that's exactly the point that has been made already by our guests, that yes, there are casualties, there are some serious casualties, but they all appear to be terror camp related. There are no civilians and no military people involved. This was a precise attack on terror camps.
And as we speak, Abhijit, look what Pakistan is resorting to. Only a country as foolish as Pakistan can do this. So the terror targets have been struck by missiles, and Pakistan has rolled out tanks on the streets. And as we speak, the DG ISPR, the propaganda arm of the deep state, has said that 8 Pakistanis have been killed, 35 have been hurt. Abhijit.
Arey bhai, we ourselves are looking at the visuals coming out of Bahwalpur. It seems like more like 30 people have been killed. What are they trying to listen? People these days have their own mobile phones and things, yaar. Kisko buddu banane ki koshish kar rahe hain? They think we're all ghochus like them or what? And I don't know what those tanks are for. I'm looking at those tank visuals. All they're doing is they're destroying their own roads. First of all, you shouldn't be taking tanks on roads like this. It's going to destroy a proper concrete highway. So who is this in aid of? It's certainly, we are not getting threatened by it. We're laughing looking at this. They're only destroying their own roads. They don't even have money to last them 2 weeks. And they want to destroy the one good road that they have. Then they're taking it off and destroying their own pavements. What is this meant to be? Is this meant to be some maneuver to show that it can go from the road to the pavement? We already know tanks can do that. What is this in aid of? I'm just wondering what Ghochu saw fit to first do this maneuver, and second, the even bigger Ghochu who decided to take videos of this and pass this off as some kind of show of force.
This is Pakistan's resolve of telling their people that we have it in ourselves to hit back by rolling out 1 or 2 tanks. Pradeep.
A tank is 40 tons. Can you imagine what it will do to a road?
That's what Abhijit is saying.
Yes, sir. See, Pradesh, you're absolutely right. In fact, what Pakistan is right now resorting to their peddling lies. Because on one hand, their statement came that Indian Air Force has not entered the Pakistan airspace, and they fired from their own airspace and tried to target some of the locations there in Muridke, in Kotli, as well as in Muzaffarabad. And then now they are saying that there has been a dogfight. The 2 of the aircraft had been shot down by Pakistani Air Force. The question arises when they did not cross Pakistani airspace. They did not enter Pakistani airspace. So where is the question of the dogfight? So that clearly indicates that they are peddling lies. And if you can see that some of the tweets being put out by their journalists who are being sponsored by none other than Inter-Service Intelligence, they are saying that they are putting out pictures of MiG-21, and that MiG-21 had crashed 2 years back in Moga. They are saying that this happened in Aknu region. So see how they are continuing with that false fake narrative, because they want to demoralize our forces. Our forces are well prepared to deal with the situation. Already they have proved a point that last time
Pradeep, that's the thing. We are not getting demoralized. All this is meme material. Abhijit?
Bro, this is so bad, it's not even worthy of being turned into a meme right now. It is sub-meme material. इसका तो मैं मीम भी ना बनाऊं. I don't know what they're thinking right now, but yeah, I mean, this is Pakistan we're talking about.
But Abhijit, you know, I'll tell you, before you joined, I asked Patitrit, I asked Srinjo, I said, what happened to the Chinese technology capability that, you know, Pakistan was boasting of? What happened to the Chinese radars?
Well, I don't know. With the Chinese, you know, with Chinese technology, if you see what happens with MG and things like that, they apparently spontaneously combust on Indian roads. So imagine how their radars are. So, you know, like as the car, so the radar. But yeah, look, that's all I have to say on this topic.
Okay. Okay.
It also depends. You can have something very high-tech, but how do you know how to use it properly? That's also something that has to be kept in mind. If you can't use the stuff properly, what's the use?
True. They may not have known which button to press.
They may not have spares. See what is happening. They may not have spares. The maintenance may not be that good. Yes, we've been hearing that these radars and the AD systems have been running all for
right.
a fortnight. They have been on.
Okay,
but
so
what
you
has
just
it
stay
led
with
to?
us. You know, Amita, take us through the pictures we have so far. This is the sabut, you know, and the emphasis on the word sabut from Pakistan that yes, India struck deep inside.
This is coming at a time when Pakistan's admission is also coming here, Pranesh and Trinjoy, that yes, then when it comes to their areas, as far as the terror dens are concerned, they have been targeted, and this is precision strikes that have been carried out by India. Look at these. These are visual evidences that is now coming across in the dead of the night, how precision strikes that were carried out by the Indian military forces. And we are looking at these pictures that are now coming in from multiple locations that we pointed out. And these are precision strike viewers that are carried out as far as these multiple strikes are concerned. And the biggest of all is the admission that is now coming from Pakistan that yes, India has struck when it comes to these terror hideouts, these locations, these headquarters that are now considered. What would be exactly happening from here on? Of course, when it comes to the details of this Operation Sindoor is concerned, very few people are in the know, and we will, as the time progresses, as the day builds up, get more information as to how this operation was carried out.
Abhijit, what do you expect from, you know, countries like Turkey or if I'm sure you've seen the OIC statement, but that was before the strike.
You know, OIC was best summed up by, I think, was it Zulfikar Ali Bhutto? He said the sum total of 50 zeros is 0. So, and I'm not saying this, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto said this. So, less said about them, the better. Turkey, what can they do? You know what they do every year in terms of aid to Pakistan? They send one horrible Mehtar band, which is the old Ottoman bands. They send it to Pakistan National Day and they play the theme song from Ertugrul. All they've got is one little corvette. They couldn't find a proper ship to send to Pakistan. They had to send their smallest possible surface attack vehicle to Pakistan to wave the flag, essentially. One corvette does not equal a military exercise. Let's be clear about that. What can they do? They'll send them some drones, but remember, you saw what happened with Turkish drones in Ukraine. They made the headlines for a month. Within a month, the Russians had found a countermeasure to the Bayraktar drones, and you didn't hear about them anymore after that, right? So that is all realistically Turkey can do. What more can they do? Also remember, Turkish weapons are expensive. They're not cheap. And you know, Turkey doesn't give any discounts to Pakistan or anything like that. They do it on a strictly business basis. So where is the money to buy all of this? Chinese have stopped giving the discounts. See, the Chinese discounts were applicable on Pakistani delivery on running two insurgencies, the Punjab insurgency and the Kashmir insurgency. Punjab insurgency finished 15-20 years back. The Kashmir insurgency is now decisively over. So even those Chinese discounts are no longer available. They have to pay full price. What are they going to do?
You just heard, Abhijit, Pakistan does not even have the money or the men to operate the machinery that we're talking about. So, you know, you have a situation where even if the Chinese gave them what we are being told, they don't know how it works.
See, the point is, you also, when you have a weapon, you also have to maintain it properly. You also have to know how to do it properly. Yes, they have the ability, but maintenance levels, spares levels, at this point, with their economic situation, you would expect that maybe it's not top class at this point. This level requires, and especially if the radars have been running 24/7 for over 2 weeks, then very clearly there is going to be wear and tear. So if that is so, there is bound to be trouble. And the Turks, yes, what we heard is right. The Turks have given 2 Milgem corvettes. They are corvettes, fine. But it must be said that what we've been hearing, there are no weapons on them. So what's the use of having a corvette that has no weapons on it? 2 OPVs have been bought by the Pakistan Navy. Again, they have no weapons on them. They are new ships. So 2 corvettes, 2 OPVs, offshore patrol weapons, no weapons.
Quickly, Pradeep, you know, Pakistani weapons have been making headlines for the wrong reasons for far too long. It's a legacy issue for them.
Yes, Pranesh, because already there had been intelligence input that if we talk about the Pakistan artillery is something that can change the discourse of any war. And we have seen that their artillery is not going to last for more than 96 hours. There had been reports in this regard. If today they are opening artillery fire, I'm sure that after 4 days they will have nothing to fire upon except for pelting stones, what they can do on the line of control. But still, we should not underestimate our enemy. But one thing is clear, that with this kind of a precision punitive action, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had been able to silence critics, and also he's going to silence all those terror-related elements operating from across the border. When I say silence critics, because there was a gang, Sabut gang, like they had been just out and they had been asking one question: where is the evidence? Because during the first surgical strike they said it was surgical strike. During the second surgical strike they said where is the evidence, where is the proof? And during the last 2-3 days here on television channels, the only debate was where the Congress people and many others were asking questions. So Prime Minister should give the sabut of those surgical strikes. But now there is an evidence. Neither Pakistan can hoodwink, nor they can say that there is no evidence, because you can see there on the screen that how there had been explosion in Bahwalpur area, and that is the heart of Pakistan where they have hit the terror den. It was from here where Masood Azhar used to hide in a burrow, and that was called Subhanallah, where from he used to target our forces, where from he used to plan operation with the help of Pakistan's inter-service intelligence and Rawalpindi headquarters. But no more now they will be able to come out of their burrows. Already there had been a fear of unknown gunmen.
But Group Editor-in-Chief Navita Kumar joining the broadcast. Good morning. You know, what a time to discuss our response to Pakistan. We are discussing Operation Sindoor.
Absolutely. And Pranesh, yes, good morning to all our viewers. Good morning to our guests on the panel. Also, big Jai Hind to our forces that have made this successful strike. And this morning, it's as a proud Indian that we all sit here. We all acknowledge the yeoman service that our armed forces have done to this country, and the resolution with which the government has followed its agenda. It was Operation Sindoor that has been launched, and poignant name given to this operation. Remember, Pranesh, all the people targeted there were men whose religion was asked, and women lost their husbands in front of their eyes. And Sindoor, as you know, is the sign of a married woman. It is avenging that very, very big moment that they had to witness on their own, where their husbands were killed in front of them. And when they said, "Hame bhi maar do," they were told, "Go back and tell your government." And that is why Operation Sindoor brings in just so much poignance at this moment. Yes, it is avenging the massacre of Pahalgam, but at another level, it's a salute to the women who had to see this very, very heartless massacre of their family members, of their men taking place in front of their eyes. Good morning to you, Abhijit Iyer Mitra. You've been following what has been happening this morning, Abhijit. How do you look at these 9 targets, the choice of the targets, and the fact that this is the terror backbone? Our IAF planes have not crossed the border, but still liquidated these terror targets just in a brazen manner that Pakistan was defending them, India has decimated them. What's the message?
The message is very clear. We're hitting all the terror infrastructure. The one in Bahwalpur is the one we have the best imagery of. This is a base we had identified some 3-4 days back on the 5th. In fact, we had tweeted out an image of this where there had been a very significant expansion. They even had a swimming pool there, which they were at least ashamed enough to fill in. I don't know why a mosque would require a swimming pool, but anyway, they did. And there were also tennis courts and training areas out there, if you look at those visuals right now. So this is something we know about, because Bahawalpur, we've seen images from the hospital coming in. The damage is extremely heavy. From what we can see of those images, we're estimated around 30 dead in Bahawalpur alone. It all seems to be fighting age men. With the other 9 targets, we have not seen visuals come out. I just want to emphasize that Punjab has just had emergency imposed, and the official proclamation of emergency has been declared in Pakistani Punjab, and they are not allowing visuals to come out right now. So even if you look at what the Pakistani Twitter was tweeting out, it has been severely throttled in the last hour or so. We are not getting any more visuals coming out of Pakistani Punjab right now. There's only one conclusion to that. They have suffered some very, very, very serious casualties. If you remember, even during Balakot, all the mobile phones in that region were seized. They did not want anybody to photograph anything. All the phones were taken away. Now, that was a relatively isolated area. Here, you can't afford to take phones away and things like that. You can suspend mobile services, but you can't take phones away. Kitna phone chhinoge aakhir?
Absolutely, phone kitna chhinoge, but at the moment what we are being given to understand, 24 attacks at these 9 locations, Bahawalpur as well as Mudrike, Sialkot, these are the areas where there were the biggest terror camps, Mahmood Azhar, Hafiz Saeed, all becoming history today. We're waiting for those confirmations. We are also hearing that our Air Force they have now targeted a Pakistani Air Force plane which had crossed the border, and that's been shot down. Are there any anything that has happened on the Indian side? Pranesh, can you give us details of any casualties on the Indian side? Pakistan clearly admitting that 24 attacks at 6 locations. So out of 9, 6 have been confirmed by Pakistan. That's a big admission even by Pakistan.
And, we are not surprised, because we were expecting the kind of saber rattling that was going on in the Pakistani media, more so by the mainstream political parties. Even the defense minister was expecting one imminent strike. And in the dead of the night at 1 a.m., India struck deep. And like Abhijit said, the emphasis should be on Bahawalpur. This is not some, a place near the line of control. We struck deep. And then you have Muridke near Lahore. And, at the cost of repeating what we've been saying, the message is clear that just after the strike, NSA Doval picked up the phone, spoke to his US counterpart and said that, look, we've taken decisive action. And then, Navita, we had a reaction from Donald Trump. He said, I've just been briefed about this while we were walking inside the Oval Office. The two nations have a dispute, this, that, the other. But the message is that India did what it had to do. You were talking about casualties. All the casualties are on the other side, across the border. This is India's time to ensure that Pakistan pays in blood, in equal measure, if not more, for what they did in Pahalgam.
Well, it's very clear. Pakistan ISPR now confirming 8 dead, 35 injured in overnight strikes. That is ISPR. We also have a video which now shows that Pakistan Air Force plane has been shot down. This is on social media. At the moment, we are trying to confirm this, but video now becoming available from Pakistani handles as well, that a Pakistani Air Force plane has been shot down as it strayed into the Indian airspace. Clearly, absolutely no no way that Indian Air Force is going to give any space. Pakistan now extremely spooked. 8 dead, 35 injured is what they are admitting at this moment. Defense strategist Major General P.K. Sehgal joining the broadcast. Good morning, sir. Operation Sindoor launched, and we're seeing the first admissions from Pakistan coming in of the casualties on their side. Clearly, these are being underestimated, but Pakistan just waking up and admitting to the horror that struck them?
Absolutely and truly. In fact, the casualties that they're indicating, 8 killed, 35 injured, must have been at each of these locations. All these 9 locations that are huge hubs, terror hubs. Fortunately for us, and unfortunately for Pakistan, most of them lie in the heartland of Pakistan, that's Punjab. You hit Murid, you hit Bahwalpur, and you hit Sialkot. All these are in the heartland of Punjab. We indicated to them loud and clear that irrespective of wherever you are, we will get you. It was a joint operation carried out by Navy, Army and Air Force, and very successfully carried out. Pakistan is admitting only that...
I'll just interrupt you for a minute, Mr. Sehgal. Srinjoy Chaudhry, my colleague, in the studio with us. Srinjoy, you have some big breaking news. Can you give us the latest update that you have?
We have just spoken with top sources in the Indian government, and this is what we are hearing. Number one, that India gave Pakistan a fortnight, 14 days, because India wanted Pakistan to take appropriate action. And this was not taken for 14 days. Pakistan was in denial mode. All our inputs we were getting showed Pakistan was in denial mode. Only then did India contemplate action. What we are also hearing, that this was a result of very close coordination between the intelligence agencies and the military. And most importantly, all 3 services were involved. The army was involved, of course, through its artillery. The Air Force was involved, naturally. And what we are hearing is that the Indian Navy was involved in the operation. This is breaking news, Navika. The Indian Navy was involved in the operation. I spoke with someone, he said, yes, the Indian Navy was involved, but I cannot tell you in what way. But certainly the Indian Navy was involved.
Absolutely, the Indian Navy, the Air Force, all of them being involved at this point. And Amita, please take us through the strikes that have taken place, the latest visuals that are coming in, the first rays of the morning sun there, and what do we have that you can tell us in terms of updates on the losses in Pakistan? Well, absolutely, Navika, because the strike, the moment, the impact is something that it was India, that this is the dead of the night that we are looking at, that it was sunrise for Pakistan and their terror dens. The headquarters that this time that has been hit, and Pakistan doing its best as far as its propaganda machinery is concerned. But this is the point of attack and the impact that happens. We'll get you the exact moment when it comes to a Pakistani jet that was attempting to cross the Indian borders that was hit. This is the counter strike now being carried out by India. The Indian forces there protecting the borders. Even as we speak, the information that was coming from undisclosed locations across the LOC where there has been firing that has been taking place. India is retaliating, a befitting response that has been coming. And ever since the last 2 weeks, the Pahalgam terror attack that has happened, there has been continuous unprovoked ceasefire violations by Pakistan all along the LOC and the international border as well. So this is that very moment as far as the night skies that has been lit up where a Pakistani jet, Navika, was shot down. Absolutely, Amita. And Abhijit Iyer Mitra, we are also getting information the Pakistani army and ISI control rooms have been targeted. Can you confirm this for us, Abhijit? Any latest information that you're getting? But there are some reports that are suggesting that the targeting of the Pakistan army and ISI control room also possible.
It is possible, Navika. The issue is, night satellite imagery is virtually impossible. We can't see much. We can't discern much. We do have images, but we're not able to make head or tail of them. By first sunlight, we'll be able to confirm within about 4 or 5 hours, depending on which satellites are flying over. Right now, it's just impossible to confirm. But can I just say this? All of these terror camps, they invariably have a sort of, camp office of the ISI in there. They're not allowed to run things by themselves. They always have some ISI detachment camping out there overseeing, because, they also need to be monitored. Remember, what can be used against India can very much be used against you also. So they also want to know who's coming in the camp, how it's being managed and things like that. I don't know if that is the reference to ISI offices being targeted, but certainly the Bahwalpur mosque certainly had some kind of a fairly large ISI field office operating out of it, as far as we can tell.
Okay, important updates. Srinjoy Chaudhry, over to you. Do you have any more details of this precision strikes that have been carried out?
Yes, what I've heard is that the initial report that has come in says that there is general satisfaction about the targets hit. First, the information related to the camps has proved to be accurate. Secondly, the weapons selected appears to have matched what was necessary. Third, the right targets have been hit and the right results have been obtained. So there is generally satisfaction with the fact that this has happened. Apart from that, on the diplomatic front, what we've been hearing is that, of course, all this planning took place with the Prime Minister involved. The four chiefs, the Chiefs of Defense Staff, Army, Navy, Air Force, Defense Minister, National Security Advisor, all of them have been involved. Now, what we know is that the National Security Advisor has already spoken with senior officials. Naturally, we know Marco Rubio has had a discussion, but also with the British, with the UAE, and with the Saudis. All these countries have been spoken with. Our points of view have been mentioned. That, look, we waited 2 weeks for Pakistan to do something about it, to do something about Pahalgam, to take action against the terrorists who were involved in Pahalgam. But nothing happened. We waited for a fortnight. Pakistan, these are the words that were given to these countries. Pakistan was in quote-unquote denial mode. So as a result of that, India was forced to do it.
Absolutely, Indian hand forced there, Srinjoy. And latest information that we are getting is that our air systems, Akash, were absolutely active since last evening. Even as we speak, Prime Minister is sitting with key officials monitoring Operation Sindoor. In fact, I just want to play out that soundbite of Prime Minister Narendra Modi that showed the resolve of this government to retaliate back and to pay back Pakistan in the same coin as they did with the massacre in Pahalgam. This is what the Prime Minister had vowed. Listen in. Today, he's exercised the option of retaliation to Pakistan. Listen in.
Today, from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done. The entire nation is firm in this resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity is with us. I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times.
Well, that was Prime Minister Narendra Modi's message and warning to Pakistan, message to the world, where he said this is not going to go unpunished, and the punishment, the retribution has come today. India used French-made scalp missiles and hammer bombs from Rafale jets against Pakistan. That is the information. Also, Mudrike, the Lashkar headquarters, Bahwalpur, the Jaish headquarters, Muzaffarabad, Kotli, Gulpur, Bhimbar, Cha Kamru, Sialkot, the place from where Lashkar and Jaish had been operating to push terrorists from across the international border to keep the pot of terrorism boiling. All of these have been on target in the Indian airstrikes. And Pranesh, is this where we claim that 9 places targeted? Do you expect retaliation? We are also given to understand that Pakistani Air Force planes hovering around the Indian airspace, and our Indian Air Force planes also there almost eyeball to eyeball. How do you see this escalating further, or will it be contained at this level?
You know, Navita, I can say this with some amount of certainty that Pakistani forces, out of utter desperation and frustration, are targeting civilian areas like they do all through the year. So this is their way of saying that, look, we can also do something. So large-scale shelling is going on. Pragya is also joining us, Navita, from outside the LKM, and we are being told that the Prime Minister was up all night monitoring Operation Sindoor. Pragya.
Absolutely, Pranesh, and it's a very, good news for India and Indians who are waiting for this Pahalgam attack to be avenged by the government. And what sources have told us is that Prime Minister monitored Operation Sindoor throughout the night, and all the defense our chief were there also. In fact, there were 9 successful targets that have been accomplished by the defense forces, and this is the information that we have got. That also, very smart strategy. We were supposed to have a mock drill today, and in fact everyone was waiting for that mock drill to be over, and then there could be some action. We all were thinking, and in fact that probably was the thinking of the Pakistan as well. But in that particular the strategy in fact was to have attacked all the terrorists. I would say all the thikanas of the terrorists were demolished, and Jaish, and Prime Minister has said that we will target those who are the handlers, and these were the handlers. Those points that have been attacked by the defense forces, they were the root cause of the terror that have been propagated by Pakistan on the Indian soil, and we have targeted.
Navita was, telling us the name Operation Sindoor is symbolic. While the name is symbolic and poignant, the strike is not. It is substantial, and this is something that Pak will never forget.
Abhijit, can you hear us?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Symbolic name for the Operation Sindoor, but targets now being confirmed even by Russian television, who are saying that rubble exists in the aftermath of India's attack. Well, what are you getting in terms of updates, Abhijit, from your sources, and what is the extent of damage? Can we now quantify this damage, and can we also actually give the status update on how much this confrontation, this conflict is going to blow up?
Now, look, what I can confirm is only through exclusion. With Bahawalpur, we actually have visuals. With Muridke, we have visuals. The others, we still do not have those visuals. We probably will never get them. They're going to seize the phones, etc., etc. They'll say, we killed a few crows, or in this case, I don't know, maybe you don't get crows in the other places. Like in Balakot, you probably get parrots and mynas, so they'll claim we've killed lots of those. But we know the moment phones are seized and internet is shut down, the damage is very heavy. Number one. Number two, by the morning, we will have satellite confirmation, and we'll be able to confirm the extent of the damage. Number three is, the Pakistanis are putting out a lot of fake info at the moment, so it's becoming impossible to scan what is real information coming out, what is fake information coming out. They're deliberately taking a lot of Gaza video clips and posting it. Their own bots are posting it, claiming to be from the ground, so as to confuse us and mislead us, right? And it's impossible at this time to be sifting through all that information and saying. But clearly the damage is very heavy. The precedent is the very important thing. This has set a very significant precedent that when there is a terror attack, your attacks are going to be disproportionate, they're going to be extremely heavy, and we're going to be fairly unrestrained in our choice of targets. Now, the question is, what does Pakistan do? Tomorrow their cabinet is meeting at 10 a.m. It is now entirely up to them if they want to escalate this situation and go in for some major action. And then, of course, it spirals into war. Now, I suspect the reason that they're putting all of this out, this Hamid Mir and Khwaja Asif, their defense minister, is saying they've shot down 5 Indian aircraft. I suspect he's putting this out, zero proof by the way. I suspect he's putting this all out so that in the morning they can claim that they've scored a moral victory or some kind of a real victory or whatever. Muh tod jawab de diya, and they will say it has ended. Maybe this is their path of de-escalation, in which case I don't care. It's great they're de-escalating. The question is, let's see what happens after their cabinet meeting, the security cabinet meeting tomorrow.
Well, very important updates. RTV visuals on our screens at this moment, and these visuals clearly confirm the extent of damage that has been wreaked on the terror hideouts that were present inside Mudrike as well as Bahwalpur and Sialkot areas. What we are also being given to understand is United States watching this entire situation at close quarters. We have Mark Rubio's statement coming in. He's just tweeted saying, I'm monitoring the situation between India and Pakistan closely. I echo POTUS's comments earlier today that this hopefully ends quickly and will continue to engage both Indian and Pakistani leadership towards a peaceful resolution. So the United States of America standing by and watching the situation closely. RTV tweeting the visuals of the damage in Pakistan. What we are also being given to understand is that even as Pakistan Air Force planes wanting to breach the Indian airspace, they are being countered by the Indian Air Force planes and air defense systems that are on full alert. Well, Srinjoy, from here on, what are we expecting in terms of Pakistan's calculations and India's readiness to take on any threats from Pakistan?
Very good question, Navika. I just spoke with top sources in the government, and they are saying that, well, we expect a retaliation. If Pakistan does retaliate, we are ready for it. And that is a very clear assessment, because all 3 services, as I told you, all 3 services were involved in the action. The Indian Navy was also involved in the action, as I just said. And all 3 services are at this point absolutely ready for any kind of retaliation, either which has actually begun, by the way, because artillery exchanges have already started. The Pakistanis began by breaking the ceasefire and targeted Indian positions. That retaliation has already begun, as is what I mentioned. India has already begun replying. But if there is further escalation in terms of use of the Air Force, as happened after Balakot, well, India is ready for it. You've already mentioned that Pakistani jets are hovering around. Well, we have a combat air patrol ready, so that is not going to be a problem. But if there is an escalation, it has been war-gamed, is what I've heard from top sources, and we are ready at this point to deal with the escalation. Jab escalation hoga, to hum dekh lenge. That is a point that has been made.
What Srinjoy has said, and what you asked about Marco Rubio, and let's bring up that statement on our screen so that our viewers get what we are talking about. He says, I'm monitoring the situation. So this is Trump administration telling Pakistan that, look, we will not do anything, because it does not take very much or, too long for Trump to say anything. He could have said that we condemn this, this is not right, this, that, the other. But they are saying, and this is what Trump also said, that we hope this ends quickly. It ended quickly. The strikes began at 1. And Sindoor, it ended in about, 10-15 minutes? So Pakistan can go to the United Nations, can call up the US NSA and the Secretary of State. But this is subtle messaging, powerful messaging.
The points have been made. Like as I mentioned, we have told the Americans, we have told the British, we have told the Saudis, we have told the UAE and 1 or 2 other countries that, look here, we waited for 2 weeks. We waited for Pakistan to take any action after this killing. And quote unquote, they were in denial mode, which is why we had to do it.
And those are visuals that are coming out from outside a hospital in Bahwalpur. This time they can't claim that there were trees and crows that were busted in Pakistan, Pranesh. And Abhijit, these visuals of the activity outside the hospital clearly show the damage is big. Right in the middle of the night, Pakistanis thronging there in huge numbers. The damage has been big, and Pakistan having to admit that India is struck where it hurts them.
Absolutely. Look, there's no way they can escape this. You know, the thing about Balakot was it was a remote location in the middle of nowhere. All these targets that have been struck today have been very visible targets. You know, you can't say that we hit a chicken coop or a parrot cage or, some floating midget circus or something like that. This is very clearly intended to send a very public message. Now we need to understand the Pakistani psyche. Whatever you do to them in private, it doesn't count for them. जब तक public में उनका नाक नहीं रगड़ा जाता मिट्टी में, they don't count it as having scored anything at all. These visuals really serve as public humiliation, where they can't now claim that it was crows that got killed. That is the most important thing. So we need to understand the impact this has had on the Pakistani psyche.
Absolutely, and from what we are getting from our sources, the Indian side extremely happy with the results so far, satisfied with the results. Everything going as per plan that had been made on the drawing board. As you know, there had been a flurry of meetings in the Prime Minister's office. There were the 3 defense chiefs, there was a defense minister, the national security advisor meeting the Prime Minister at least on 2 occasions yesterday, followed by several other meetings that were taking place. And clearly, with all that activity, with the announcement that a mock drill would be carried out for the civilian defense today, a heightened level of alertness across India. At the moment, sources saying Indians extremely satisfied with the way things have gone. Updates coming in: Qatar Airways suspends flights temporarily to Pakistan. Also, what we are getting to hear, Air India stalling flights to Jammu and Kashmir for the moment, holding out the airspace there, not quite conducive to passenger aircrafts landing and taking off. We are getting these updates. Rajnath Singh, Defense Minister, they're tweeting Bharat Mata Ki Jai, and look at the manner in which Indians have come out to celebrate. सोनू निगम, घर में घुसकर मारा है, कब्र तुम्हारी खोदी है, भारत की गद्दी पर बैठा बाप तुम्हारा मोदी है, समझे बेटा पाकिस्तान. That's the emotion coming in from Indians. Also coming in many other leaders. Chandrababu Naidu just tweeting out there saying that India and Indians extremely happy. Well, we are looking at those visuals where we can see some movements. Amita, if you can take us through, and Pranesh.
Let's quickly bring in, before Amita comes in, let's quickly bring in Chaudhry. Chaudhry will tell us how the cowardly Pakistani Rangers have been pounding civilian areas. Chaudhry.
Well, yes, absolutely. Let me tell you, we are reporting from one of the closest LOC. We will not disclose the location because of the security reasons. But after Operation Sindoor, definitely Pakistan, in a desperate move, has been making such kind of failed attempts. You can see in the visuals that what kind of failed attempts the Pakistan has been making. Remember that this is definitely a civilian area, but there is no, in fact, injury, no casualty in this entire area. In the visuals, you can see what we are being told by the villagers was that this entire, there was a failed attempt by Pakistan around 2:30 a.m. in the midnight, and last night they have yet another desperate attempt to provoke India by launching multiple infiltration bids across the border here from where we are reporting right now, hoping to create a chaos. Pakistan wanted to create a chaos, but it was a failed attempt because Indian army was not just prepared, but it was waiting for such kind of attempt by Pakistan to make such kind of attempt, which was a failed attempt. Definitely Indian army has retaliated well, and in fact we will also show you the visuals from this particular village we are reporting right now. The Bharat Mata ki Jai chants, and they all were hailing Operation Sindoor. Not just that, but the villagers are celebrating over here. So we will also try to move forward to this area because of the location, because of the security reasons. We are not showing you we are not telling you the location, but we will once again show you the visuals on my left hand side. Amit ji, if you can show those visuals so as to what is happening over there. Amit ji, pan the camera and show the visuals over there, that how a failed attempt that was made by Pakistan over here. And we'll also speak to the villagers who are in fact stating that what kind of failed attempt it was. Not just once but multiple times Pakistan tried to target this particular area. This is certainly a civilian area as well, and in fact we'll also speak to the villagers over here. आप लोगों में कितनी खुशी है ऑपरेशन सिंदूर?
भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की, इंडियन आर्मी जिंदाबाद, इंडियन आर्मी जिंदाबाद, इंडियन आर्मी जिंदाबाद।
कितनी खुशी है आप लोग?
बहुत खुशी है, हमें बहुत खुशी है। हम बड़ी उम्मीद रखे हुए थे कि भारत मकबूल जवाब देगा। और
अटेम्प्ट था पाकिस्तान द्वारा रात को यहाँ पर पूरी तरह से फेल किया गया, जिस तरह से ऑपरेशन सिंदूर हुआ।
फेल पाकिस्तान को मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया है इंडियन आर्मी ने। ये पूरा यूथ हमारा अखनूर का, हम बॉर्डर एरिया में रहते हैं, हमारे सभी भाई जो हैं फौज के साथ खड़े हैं, अपनी सेना के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिला के खड़े हैं। जहाँ भी फौज को जरूरत होगी हम वहाँ पहुंचेंगे।
किस तरह का जोश है फिलहाल यहाँ पर LOC पर? बॉर्डर का आखिरी विलेज है ये।
बहुत है।
क्या कहना चाहेंगे आप सब लोग?
हम इंडियन आर्मी की जय बोलेंगे।
So in fact, these villagers over here, they all are happy, and in fact, in a desperate move, Pakistan tried to, attempt attack in this particular area, but it was definitely a failed attempt. Here, these all villagers are in fact hailing Indian Army. आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे, किस तरह से यहाँ पर जश्न मनेगा?
अब अच्छा ही माहौल है, अभी डरने की जरूरत नहीं है। यहाँ पे जो हुआ तो रात को हुआ था
जी,
हमको भी
1:30 बजे के करीब हुआ। यहाँ पे जहाज की लैंडिंग हुई है और यहाँ पे जहाज गिरा हुआ है तो धमाका हुआ।
So you can see over here that how the sloganings are being done over here. You can see there people are chanting the slogans of Indian Army Zindabad, Pradhanmantri Modi Zindabad, Bharat Mata की जय. Such kind of slogans are being raised over here. किस तरह का जोश है फिलहाल आप लोगों में अभी?
बहुत ही बढ़िया जोश है। हम बहुत ही खुश हैं जो इंडियन आर्मी ने ये कार्रवाई की है। इंडियन आर्मी जिंदाबाद, इंडियन आर्मी जिंदाबाद, इंडियन आर्मी जिंदाबाद।
So you see Indian Army Zindabad, just these slogans can be heard over here at the LOC, just few kilometers away. There's Pakistan, in fact, where India has targeted nine of these terror camps, and here the villagers have gathered chanting the slogans of, Indian Army Zindabad, Bharat Mata ki Jai. A failed attempt of Pakistan. On my left hand side, come this side, Amit ji, will show that what kind of failed attempt it was by Pakistan over there, and Pakistan had been attempting this particular moves after this Operation Sindoor. What we were told by the villagers as well, and our security forces were completely active over here. They acted with precision and power, sending a strong message that this is not, that you cannot mess with the Indian Army. You cannot mess with India. Remember that Pakistan is resorting to these low-grade, desperate tactics because it knows that it has lost the strategic narrative now, and every time they try this, India responds not just defensively but offensively. This is important to note that India has responded in an offensive way. That's why, in fact, the villagers also have gathered over here. Next, in fact, now there was a fire in this area. The fire, however, has been doused off. Well, now we'll have to see that how villagers have been saying that they will be celebrating this entire move of Operation Sindoor by India. Back to you.
congratulations to you, congratulations to Indians standing there. And at this moment, what a moment of pride. It has been a success as far as the intelligence of this operation is concerned. And Pranesh and Srinjoy, the most important thing at this moment is to understand that Shahbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, had called a national security meeting at 10 a.m. this morning. Well, beauty sleep spoilt for Shahbaz Sharif because Prime Minister Modi ne literally neende chhin li hai.
See, 1 o'clock was decided upon. It appeared to be the right time and the right places were hit. What is very important to note is that even to our friends abroad, we have said this. We have told them just now that, look, we had to do it because in that fortnight, nothing was done. There was a denial mode. And if there is constant denial mode, what can we do? We are forced to do this because the other side is in a way of saying, they are saying that, look, we have nothing to do with it, this is nothing to do with us, etc., etc. Now, we were forced to do it. The point that is often made, the phrase that is often used is intelligence failure. In this case, it's an intelligence success.
Absolutely, intelligence success, and rubble there in Pakistan, terror camps can be seen. And Pranesh, why this attack was important is, it's not just in POK. There are locations inside Pakistan that have been targeted. Not one Indian plane crossing the airspace of Pakistan. Yet the missile targeting from Navy, from Air Force, has decimated these terror camps. Masood Azhar, Hafiz Saeed, and those visuals coming from outside Bahwalpur hospitals, clearly showing the extent of damage, while of course the political leadership in Pakistan is catching up on their beauty sleep.
They'll have sleepless nights. That, like you said, Modi disturbed their sleep. But Navita, look what has happened. Like they say, Pakistanis expect कर रहे थे हमारे jets cross करेंगे जैसे last time हुआ था. Out of syllabus आ गया. Our missiles went in. Our jets stayed inside the border. Missiles struck 9 targets. And for anyone who does not understand the intensity of this strike, where is Murid Ke? Murid Ke is just 40 kilometers or 45, 50 kilometers from Lahore. We have gone clearly beyond Balakot. Last time, 7 targets were hit. This time, we've gone deeper and hit harder. Pradeep.
Yes, Pradesh, you're absolutely right. This was an offensive-defensive strategy of Indian Army and Air Force, that this time they were able to destroy and decimate many of their headquarters. Because last time we had seen that when first time the surgical strike was carried out, that time they had targeted launch pads. And second time it was Balakot, where Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters was decimated. And this time they have targeted the terror den. The terror den is in Bahwalpur area. From Bahwalpur, we have seen that how Jaish-e-Mohammed had been operating. From here, Masood Azhar used to operate along with inter-service intelligence and Rawalpindi headquarters. Then Murid Ke, it has been headquarters of Lashkar-e-Toiba, where from Hafiz Saeed used to operate. So by decimating and demolishing these headquarters, a message has been sent loud and clear by Prime Minister Narendra Modi that blood of Indians is not that cheap, and you will be made to pay the price for the sin that you have committed in Pahalgam. You can yourself see that when first time the Uri attack took place, within 10 days, the Uri strike was avenged. And second time after Pulwama bombing, within 12 days it was avenged. And this time they have taken 15 days to avenge Pahalgam massacre. If you are going to erase Sindur of our young women by killing their husbands in front of their eyes, we are going to wipe out your terror den. That is the message that has been sent by Prime Minister, and that assertion had been translated, those words, into action. Mitti mein mila dunga, and you can see they had been mitti mein mila dunga, because when those missiles from the Rafale were fired from the Rafale fighter jets, like from air to surface missile, they have simply brought those headquarters to surface, and now it will be for the Pakistan to see how they are going to retaliate. Because when we say offensive defensive, now India will be in a defensive position to counter any kind of retaliation from Pakistan's side. So far, Pakistan has already resorted to artillery shelling along the line of control, where they have kept the border.
Major General Sehgal, what can Pakistanis do apart from grumbling and apart from the frustration that they're showing already?
except for frustration, I don't think they can do anything very much. They will continue to target civilians in the LOC area, and that's exactly what they're doing. They will also try and make certain noises and try and do air intrusions. But I'm very, very certain any attempt to do any air intrusion, their aircraft will be shot down. Our air defense is very, very strong. S-400 is there, Barak is there, Akash is there, and the Indian Air Force has the capacity to knock the aircraft out beyond visual range. Before they can even come anywhere near, Rafale will shoot them out. And any attempt by Pakistan to do so will be met with a stronger response by India. India's strike was very effective, very measured, very focused, non-escalatory, and exceedingly successful. We've been able to achieve everything what we went out to achieve, and Pakistan continues to be rattled, but they're bound to react, and they're bound to react violently. We are absolutely and totally standing by for that retaliation. We will give them a bloody nose once again and several times over.
Well, yeah, that's right. And at the moment, information that we are getting is that all our pilots of the Indian Air Force are counted for. What we are also being told at the moment is that India has wreaked damage on Pakistan and their terror hideouts. In fact, headquarters, shots of them being burned down coming very, very thick and fast, and confirmations coming in. There have been several jets as well. There is information that is coming out at this moment that Indian side speaking diplomatically, also engaging with other countries to keep them abreast with all the information, with all the developments that have taken so far, and India also putting out our point of view that we waited for 15 days, absolutely no action and more threats coming in from Pakistan, which is why this was inevitable, had to be done, and these are terror targets that have been actually decimated. It's not been any military installation, so it is not an act of war. It is an act of offensive defense that the Indian side has undertaken. That is the diplomatic stand that India has taken at this moment. And for everybody tonight here, how's the Josh, Pranesh?
It's high, and you know, it's for the world to see. You were talking about what we've done diplomatically, even in the days leading up to Operation Sindoor. And we have pictures, in fact, Rishabh joining us from outside the North Block. There will be hectic activity, if not already, in a few hours. But Navital, in the days leading up to Operation Sindoor, there were at least 80 to 90 envoys who were briefed by the government that, look, we've suffered this. The Pakistani terrorists crossed over and they spilled Indian blood. Indian blood is not cheap. And after the strike tonight, immediately hotlines were active. NSA Doval spoke to his counterpart, the Secretary of State, also Marco Rubio. And then we were told that Indian officials spoke to their counterparts in UK, in Russia, in UAE and Saudi Arabia. And what should we, say of France? Because French weapon has been used to punish Pakistan. Sinjoy.
Yes, undoubtedly. The point we are making again and again is that from the other side, there was silence, or worse, your people come in and kill 28 Indian citizens, and you do nothing about it for a fortnight. We were forced to do this, is the point that we are making, and this is something we have told all our friendly countries that, well, this is something we didn't want to do, but the other side did absolutely nothing. So if these people are in denial mode, then we have to do what we have to do. And what we are seeing is that the intelligence was there, the operational plan was okay, the weapons used was synergetic, and everything has been successful. The operation has been successful is what we are hearing. So that point is also being made, that look, this was something that was, as Navikas had said just now, this offensive was keeping in mind our defense. This is not something that was we had wanted to do, but this is something we were forced to do. And pointedly this time, Muridke, Bahwalpur. Forget about the fact that they are terrorist areas, terror headquarters. Think of where they are. They are not in POK, they are in Pakistan.
Absolutely.
And this is in front.
Enjoy at this point, no time to make any political statements, but for the ecosystem, probably a 30-second silence, who were daring the government, the government to take action, a 30-second silence for them, because the ecosystem literally has been silenced today with the action. And I want to put out here the fact that India has always acted every time there has been provocation. Uri, and then there was surgical strikes. Time gap, 10 days. Pulwama responded to by Balakot airstrikes. Time gap, 12 days. Now, Pahalgam, Operation Sindoor. Time gap, 15 days. That's been the swift track record of action, and this is what New India is all about. Prime Minister Modi leading from the front, the defense forces full of confidence at this moment to take on their enemies. Yes, it has been a success. Is this the end? Will we see more of these strikes over the next few hours and days is the big question. Rishabh, what are your sources telling you? What about the diplomatic overtures that are taking place? Countries being spoken to, all seniors being kept in the loop, all countries being kept on the same page with India. Israel has already stated that Israel stands with India at this hour. We also understand Israel-Gaza engaged in an operation even as we speak. And Israel by our side, America looking at us very, very closely and hoping this will finish soon. Clearly the world stunned into taking India's side, Pakistan and its cries, not really making the cut with the diplomatic success that it probably expected.
Well, what we are given to understand that India is diplomatically handling it very meticulously. We have seen how things unfolded in UNSC just 24 hours ago. India, humiliated Pakistan in UNSC without being part of UNSC right now. Yesterday we broke the story that how India's MEA has been tasked to ensure global support once the strikes happen. And whenever it happened within few hours of that news break. Now what we are given to understand that senior officials from External Affairs Ministry are in touch with authorities in United States, UK, Russia, and other countries as well. Global support is being garnered right now by India. India has put forward very categorically that we haven't targeted civilians, we haven't targeted the government or military installations. We are only targeting terror launch pads, terror places, and the terror hideouts. And hence, our war is only against terrorism, not against the people of Pakistan or the government of Pakistan. So in a way, very categorically, India putting forward that this is a very precise strike that we have done, targeting the terrorists. And that's the reason that we are seeing that there hasn't been much of uproar over India's strike right now. Yes, statements have come in from the United States, but they are very measured.
Very, very measured statements coming in. In fact, latest information, Indian Air Force is doing more patrolling in the Indian airspace close to the Pakistani border to ensure air dominance. That's what we are being given to understand. Well, the first reaction from the Congress party coming in, Randeep Singh Surjewala tweeting Jai Hind. Well, the Congress party is woken up after all the provocation to Prime Minister, after all the Rafales with Nimbu and Mirchi. Well, today they have Operation Sindoor to respond to. And clearly at this point, combat air patrols are on. Srinjoy, what is the latest information?
Very clearly, you can expect any retaliation at any time. So you have to be prepared for it. To be prepared for it, well, on ground, you have artillery against you. We are hitting back with artillery. Now, if there is a PF intrusion, then we have aircraft flying and they are ready to not, for one, detect the intrusion and then take suitable action. There are enough aircraft and they are in place at this point to ensure that any intrusion from the air is detected and suitably combated.
Well, clearly at this point, India cannot afford to let its guard down, but the entire operation lasting 30 minutes and the devastation there, very, very clear. If you look at all Pakistani channels, which are now, most of them banned in India, Pranesh, you see the extent of damage that has been wreaked. In fact, some social media handles that you can still trace from India can show this damage. People who are injured being brought to the hospitals. We're also seeing the terror camps, Masood Azhar, headquarters of the Hafiz Saeed, all of them brought down to rubble at this moment. Huge success as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned. Our braves have done it once again, the defense forces. And like the previous two times during Balakot and surgical strikes, are we expecting another military briefing that will take place? No chest thumping from the political leaders?
You know, there is, I'll tell you what we are expecting. At 10 a.m. there is a briefing at the National Media Center. We have been told that there will be a separate briefing by the MOD. Then there's one by the Ministry of External Affairs. That's from 10 to 11. At 11, we have the PM chairing the CCS. And after that, the cabinet meeting will follow. To the first question you asked, Navita, about the extent of damage. I mean, just look at the pictures. And these are pictures not released by the government of India. These are pictures floating on Pakistani handles. Pakistan forced to admit the extent of damage. So, you know, this is, you know, they've got more than a bloody nose. And while mainstream Pakistani propaganda channels, handles have been banned by the government, and, you know, that was a great move. There are enough Pak propagandists on social media who would have the world believe that, look, nothing happened. But for, you know, people like those who are saying that nothing happened, just the picture from outside the Bahwalpur hospital tells you the extent of damage. There are some reports unconfirmed at the moment, and I don't want to jump the gun, but those reports suggest that there have been at least 50 to 60 casualties in Bahwalpur alone. And the number of people, the ambulances, the people there, the panic all around tells you what happened. This is not what, you know, let's not fall for the propaganda of the DG ISPR. They are saying what they have to please their bosses, to, you know, give a sense of a belief and confidence to their people. But that is not true. India went inside deeper than last time. This is beyond Balakot. And like you said, Navita, the Prime Minister had said it very clearly that I am leaving the decision to our armed forces. Our armed forces assess the damage. In fact, we have a reaction coming in.
जब 22 अप्रैल को हमारा बच्चा शहीद हुआ वहाँ पे, तब भी हमने ऐसा कहा था, हमारे बच्चे के साथ जो बाकी के जितने भी लोग शहीद हुए, तभी मैंने कहा था कि नहीं, एक अब क्रांति आएगी हमारे देश में। और मुझे विश्वास था कि हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी हमारी भावनाओं का, हमारे जो हम लोग एक दुख के दौर से गुजर रहे हैं, उन भावनाओं का आदर करेंगे और आतंकवाद के समूल नाश के लिए वो निश्चित रूप से बहुत कठोर कदम उठाएंगे। आज रात मुझे 2 बजे जब जानकारी हुई कि हमारी भारत की सशक्त सेनाओं ने उस आतंकवाद के समूल नाश का जो बीड़ा था उठाया था, उसकी शुरुआत कर दी है, तो मुझे लगा कि नहीं, अब निश्चित रूप से आतंकवाद का सर्वनाश होकर ही रहेगा। मैं बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी को। हम लोगों के हृदय में, मेरे हृदय में जो 22 अप्रैल से एक प्रतिशोध की आग ज्वाला धधक रही थी, आज उसको निश्चित रूप से शांति मिली है।
एक कहीं न कहीं सुबह को जो पहलगाम में लोग शहीद हुए थे, जो निर्दोष नागरिक थे जी, उनको कहीं न कहीं एक सच्ची श्रद्धांजलि आज सरकार ने और सेना के द्वारा दी गई।
सच्ची श्रद्धांजलि है सरकार की तरफ से, सेना की तरफ से। और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि नहीं, आज हमारा बच्चा जहां भी होगा, उसकी मृतात्मा जहां भी होगी, आज बहुत शांति और सुकून महसूस कर रही होगी। उसे बड़ी खुशी होगी, उसे बड़ा गर्व होगा हमारे देश की सेनाओं पर, हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी पर।
क्या चाहते हैं आगे सेना से और सरकार से क्या मांगे, किस तरह की कार्रवाई आगे और होनी चाहिए?
देखिए, हमारी सेना का जो कीर्ति है, पताका है ना, वो पूरे इतिहास उठाकर देखिए, पूरे विश्व में वो कीर्ति पताका फहरा रही है। आने वाले समय पर आतंकवाद के समूल नाश की वो कीर्ति पताका पूरे विश्व, पूरे ब्रह्मांड में फहराएगी। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का मैं बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं और मैं आगे ऐसा चाहता हूं कि जब तक ये आतंकवाद पूरी
Well, joining us this morning is Smita Prakash, editor ANI. Good morning, Smita. Congratulations to all of us as Indians for the successful Operation Sindoor. 30 minutes decimation in Pakistan, and the beauty sleep still being caught on because the Pakistan Prime Minister had called for a security review meeting at 10 a.m. in the morning. Would that even be necessary now, Smita?
I think, yes, congratulations in the sense that we have avenged what happened in Pahalgam. It took 2 weeks, but decisive action, and the targets have been hit. And it's very significant that we have hit Bahwalpur, not just in POK, we have hit Pakistan inside Pakistan. Very strategic, very important targets have been hit, and it was monitored personally by the Prime Minister, sources have confirmed. But 9 targets hit is something which we expected, and I think whether the briefings happen now or not, the fact is that the Deputy Prime Minister of Pakistan has already confirmed that these targets were hit. The Indian first response that came in did not specify where the targets were, but the Pakistan Foreign Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, they confirmed. Of course, it's fog of war, so there'll be a lot of claims and counterclaims which will happen, especially from the Pakistani side, which first said that India has not violated the airspace, Indian aircraft, but then they claim to have downed some aircraft. India has not had a briefing so far. We do expect that soon there will be a briefing. As far as catching up on sleep is concerned, no, not anymore. I think that got over late last night or early this morning.
All right, Smita, those updates very clear. Of course, even the ISPR is talking about 8 dead and about 35 injured, which is a lot coming from DG ISPR as far as Pakistan is concerned. But clearly at this point, the damage seems to be much more than that, and visuals that are coming in about these 9 spots where the strikes have taken place, Pranesh, clearly telling us that this is a time where we are going to see a lot of misinformation also being spread and information coming in against ceasefire violations happening and shelling that is going on. The LOC red hot at this point in time, but that's to be expected, Pranesh.
Absolutely. What else do you expect from Pakistan? And this shelling happens, you know, through the year. And this is the utter frustration, desperation of the Pakistani deep state. They are targeting innocent civilians. 3 civilians have been killed due to park shelling. That's the latest coming in. Captain Alok Bansal also joining the broadcast. Captain Bansal, good morning. Your first thoughts on Operation Sindoor?
See, it was coming. We all knew that the government of India had to take an action against the terrorist sites. And what is important is that India has selected these 9 sites carefully. They are non-escalatory. They are actually not military targets. These are the sites where militant camps were there. So we have, I think, given a very clear-cut message. We've also shown our superiority because all our aircraft, as per my inputs, have returned very safe and sound. All attacks have not resulted in any damage to the Indian sites. And Pakistanis at this moment are actually trying to put up a brave front because they really don't have any response. So you will keep getting responses from Pakistan which will be different. As of now, they are talking of some casualties and they are talking of civilian casualties, but these are not civilians but are terrorists who were actually based at these infrastructures. And I think next few hours, in fact next few days are going to be of great preparedness, because there is no doubt that Pakistan, howsoever symbolic, would like to retaliate in some way or the other.
Well, retaliation was expected within within 15 days of the Pahalgam massacre, there has been retaliation, and Pakistan still reeling, and the Pakistan worst kept secret on terror actually being destroyed at this moment, given the fact that the terror hideouts of Masood Azhar, Hafiz Saeed, all of them being decimated. We are also joined by Dhruv Katoj, Major General Dhruv Katoj. How do you look at the action so far? There is some heavy shelling that's happening across the LOC. We are fearing some civilian casualties. We are waiting for confirmation. But expected retaliation at this moment from Pakistan, and in the garb of this LOC ceasefire violation, do you think they are trying to push in more terrorists? Indian Army, of course, keeping tabs on the situation?
Thank you. No, I don't think the ceasefire violation has got anything now to do with pushing in terrorists. It is simply an attempt by Pakistan to to show that they are taking some action. The operation which has been carried out by the Indian Armed Forces, I think, has been very targeted and very specific. And for a change, the Pakistani government has acknowledged it. Otherwise, they are always in a denial mood. Now, as Captain Alok Bansal has said, the next 48 hours are going to be critical. We will see which way it goes, because Pakistan will have to show, to save face, they've got to tell the public that we are doing something. One of the things which they have tried to do is this artillery shelling along the LOC, which, as far as I'm concerned, the ceasefire now is effectively dead and buried. It is over. So there will be no restraints on either side. And as Pakistan has chosen to escalate the LOC, the Indian response will be similar. But we have to wait and see.
I have to interrupt you there. Breaking news coming in. More strikes are expected. More terrorist locations have been identified. Any retaliation from Pakistan will be responded in an appropriate manner. We now need to take this breaking news on air. More strikes expected. More terrorist locations have been identified. And this is the big breaking news coming in at this moment. Srinjoy, we are ready to go in for other strikes as well. The timing yet to be decided, and clearly India not letting off very soon.
First of all, we have only struck 3 or 4 places, 9 altogether, Muzaffarabad 2. But we know for sure that there were at least 15 or 16 terror training camps. So even if you've hit quite a few, there are still others that are active, and where there are terrorists at this point undergoing training, given weapons, and being indoctrinated and told to move towards the line of control or the IB. So those terror camps still exist in POK, in Pakistan. And the point is...
So India has unfinished business. Rishabh, yes. You've got that update. Rishabh, more strikes expected. Obviously, we will not know the timing of when these are being planned, but clearly this is unfinished business. Operation Sindoor continues here. It's a ... to be continued. Clearly, the intelligence apparatus has done a meticulous planning of which locations to go in for in phase 1 and which will be taken on in phase 2.
Well, what we are given to understand that Operation Sindoor is not over. More strikes are expected, Navika. What we are given to understand, the defense armed forces have actually identified more terror launch pads, more terror hideouts in POK as well as Pakistan as well, and more strikes are expected. What we are given to understand that these strikes could be about 100-150 kilometers inside Pakistan. We are not talking about POK, we are talking about the Indian boundary that India agrees upon. Whole of Gilgit-Baltistan and whole of POK is India. So furthermore, inside Pakistan, around 100-150 kilometers, more strikes are expected. This showcases that how terror launch pads or terror camps are located inside the civilian areas of Pakistan as well. And the reason they have not been struck in the first, because India wanted civilians to be careful about Indian strikes, and that's the reason that only 9 terror locations have been hit as of now in the first phase of Operation Sindoor. Operation Sindoor continues is what we are given to understand, and any retaliation, if whatever it may be from Pakistan, will be dealt with. An appropriate reaction and response will be given to them is what we are given to understand. So Operation Sindoor is not yet over. More strikes on terror camps are expected any time now, and the time definitely will not know, as we didn't know about this time as well. At 1:28, Indian Army's ADGPI Twitter handle tweeted that ready to strike. 1:51, justice have been delivered within 15 minutes of this operation, meticulously planned Operation.
Right. So the worst
Sindoor
is not over, Sinjoy, for Pakistan.
No, not at all. See, the point is, in some ways, this is just the beginning, because the world is realizing 2 things. One, these camps, for all the things Pakistan has said, have been active for decades now, about 2 decades. Number 2, there is a possibility to do something about it, which is strike. Of course, the Americans did it at Abbottabad. Let's not forget what happened with Osama bin Laden. So if the Americans can do it from as far away as they are, there is no reason why we can't go across the line of control or even the IB and strike terror camps. The point is very clear. Here are people who are coming across here and killing our civilians. So we are not going to sit quietly. But any further strikes is an option. That will always be an option. But that depends on what Pakistan does. Are they going to try and retaliate? Number 1. Are those camps going to be closed down? Number 2. These are things we'll have to see. These options will always be there. That is something known to us. We know where the camps are. We've known them for a long time.
Absolutely, and we have exercised restraint for a long time, but the time had come. Joining us this morning, Dr. Anand